The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid.
Welcome into a Monday edition of Running Point. Man, did I hit that wrong?
Welcome to Monday.
Yeah. Wow. I cut that song off. I didn't mean to do that. Quick itchy trigger finger or something. Good Lord. Welcome into a Monday edition of Running Points. My bracket's in hell. I don't know about yours, but mine's torn up and thrown out the window. Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. Every single year leading up to the tournament, it's the same argument in the Midwest. Every single year, everyone says, watch out for the Big Ten this year. Big Ten, that's the best conference in all of college basketball. Every single year, I hear this.
Most years, it's like, oh, the Big Ten's cute, but the ACC is the best conference.
Well, yeah, but everyone in the Midwest
This
is like,
year.
watch out for the Big Ten,
Right,
man.
right.
Come tournament time, watch out for the Big Ten. Watch out for the Big Ten. And I watched out for the Big Ten, and I fell into this, as I do every single year. Oh, the Big Ten's a pretty good conference. I think they'll get some good representation. Every friggin' year I do this, and every friggin' year the Big Ten goes into the toilet, and I had Illinois winning the national championship, and unlike you, I'm not going to badmouth Sister whoever her
You
name
did
is.
come again.
Well,
Don't
I
shut
did.
You did,
I
okay.
did. I sat back
Just
and
because
said.
you don't have the guts to say it on the mic.
No,
doesn't mean
well,
you don't
no.
say it.
I mean, it's
Come on.
I did it in jest. I did it in jest.
Okay.
But yeah.
Look, Sister Jean's powers are beyond my comprehension. And, she could use it to stop world hunger or to fix world peace, but instead she used it to fix basketball.
Honestly, I think that her basketball coach is probably a little bit more in tune to this. They outplayed Illinois.
Yeah, I mean,
plain and simple.
For real, you watch that game, they were outcoached. Illinois was outcoached, they were outprepared, out-executed, whatever you want to say. I mean, you look at Loyola's sets, their offensive sets, they do not do anything flashy. They do basic stuff. They just executed at a really high level. And Illinois still looked unprepared for it, which, it's just one of those things. You just, coaching the first time in that situation, Loyola's coach has been there, done that. I think it really got exposed.
Yeah, here's a concept. Playing non-flashy type of basketball, vanilla basketball, it actually works if you execute at a high level.
You do. You have to execute at an extremely high level, and Loyola did that. And Illinois, they
I felt like I was watching Hoosiers. Just the vanilla set offenses. I'm just like, okay. But it works. It works because these guys have it down to a science.
Guess what? The give and go, still very effective.
Oh, yeah.
Pick and roll, still very effective.
Absolutely. All of that stuff is effective if you play and execute it flawlessly.
The other thing, Loyola's big man is just playing ungodly good right now. And he's unstoppable. So when you have that, those kind of vanilla things kind of work when you have a post that's playing as well as he is.
I kind of wish that they would be playing Iowa sometime down the road, but they're not going to because Iowa's on the other end of the bracket, and you're not going to see that matchup because I'd like to see what this kid can do against Iowa's big boy Luka. Luka Brazzi sleeps with the fishes.
Now, see if he won, if Loyola won that match, that would be that would definitely be
the headline. Luka Brazzi and the Iowa Hawkeyes sleeps with the fishes.
Oh man, probably happened too the way the Big Ten's been playing.
And
Loyola's road to the Final Four now.
It got a whole lot easier.
I mean, let's look at this. Okay, they're playing Oregon State. I mean, no. If you get to this point, you're playing well.
Listen,
so I don't want to disrespect any of these teams.
Oregon State's playing really good basketball.
Oregon State's playing really well. They beat a really good Oklahoma State team.
Yes, absolutely.
But you just look at seeds. Okay, Loyola's the 8th seed. Oregon State's the 12th. And then you look at the bottom. Syracuse is the 11th seed. And Houston, who didn't look mighty impressive against Rutgers, squeaked by that. They're the 2 seed. So that's the last 4 in Loyola's bracket. All those teams Loyola can match up against.
I agree with that.
So,
and what would have happened had Rutgers not crapped on themselves and scared themselves to death in the final minute and a half of the game? Because they had a 10-point lead under 3 minutes to go in the game, and they frittered it away.
That Sweet 16 would be an 11 seed, a 10 seed, an 8 seed, and a 12 seed.
Oof. I mean,
Talk about chaos.
Look, nobody has a perfect bracket anymore. That went out the window as soon as Oral Roberts beat Ohio State.
Well, no. A lot of people had a perfect bracket after that, but I think it went out the window when that plus Illinois lost, plus Purdue lost. I mean, a lot of the big teams that a lot of people were high on lost. But I think I saw it like on Friday after Ohio State lost. They had like 13,000 perfect brackets still out of like 35 million subscribed.
Well, listen.
I'm sure there's one person that's sitting there like, I got a perfect bracket.
Well, they announced today that there are no perfect brackets on the ESPN thing. Here's what I'd like to see, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd love to see Oklahoma beat Gonzaga. Because then it's complete and utter chaos.
We talked about it off the air. I want Ohio to get into the Sweet 16 and then beat Gonzaga.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh my God.
Look, could you imagine? All right, let's say Gonzaga gets upset by Oklahoma, which probably isn't going to happen, but it's a 1-8 matchup. Let's say the 8 seed wins. Ohio upsets Creighton, which I don't even think that's an upset. I think Ohio's better than Creighton, even though they're seeded 13th and Creighton is 5th. But let's put Ohio in there. Let's say USC beats Kansas and Oregon beats Iowa. So you're looking at a 6, a 7, a 13, and an 8 in the Sweet 16. That would be phenomenal. I mean, if and my bracket's toast. So now I'm rooting for utter chaos. I want all of these teams, all of these top-seeded teams to go bye-bye now. Except for Michigan, because I had them in the national championship game.
Yeah, this is why I wish you could change like the picks halfway through in this ESPN app, because then strategically I would pick some chaos. That way, that's the only way I can make up ground points-wise. Root against other people's wins. Can't do it, but yeah, I think now the only team I have left is Alabama because I put them in the national championship game. So riding on the tide, I guess.
Yeah, Maryland, one of only 3 Big Ten teams left in this godforsaken tournament. They're going to play Alabama. You figure they're going to get toast. Michigan's playing LSU. That's not a gimme for Michigan.
Michigan's only minus like 5, I think.
Yeah, and Iowa's playing Oregon, and that's not a gimme. What are the odds of the Big Ten getting eliminated prior to the Sweet 16?
I wouldn't say very high. I think Oregon, Oregon hasn't played a game yet. They got bumped up because VCU had COVID
Unfortunate,
problems.
Yeah.
So,
but that might turn to their advantage, though.
Your first game of the tournament's against Iowa. I think Oregon has the best roster in the Pac-12. They'll be a tough team, but I think we'll be able to handle that. But what do I know? I mean, heck, I had Illinois winning the thing, and they lost to Loyola in the second round. So
yeah.
Take my advice and.
Yeah, everyone's brackets should be
Next
in
year,
the toilet by now.
I'm not watching any games outside of Georgia Tech, and I'm just going to blind shoot it. And I feel like that works better. When you know stuff, you try to analyze. And, I know Illinois is a good team. I'll just pick them. No.
Well, you were
I always feel like the people that don't know what they're doing get better brackets.
You were on pins and needles for much of the weekend because, I'm watching Georgia Tech play Loyola here at HQ while we had the live stream, and you were on the edge of your seat, and it was tough to watch. And then Sunday, the women were in action against Stephen F. Austin and went to overtime, which wasn't expected. And Georgia Tech was supposed to win that game rather handily. So that was weird.
No, I mean, you look at the FPI of ESPN, they had Georgia Tech as the underdogs. They had 60% chance that Stephen F. Austin would win that game.
Wow.
So,
well, you get the job done then.
I've never seen a 5-12 where the 5's a 10% underdog, but hey, whatever.
All right, let's get to the phone lines. You're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on?
Ronnie.
What's up, Vince?
Ronnie, hats off to the Fighting Penguins for their first victory of the year. Hope there's more to come down the road.
There's going to be about 2 or 3 more victories between now and the end of the spring season.
I wasn't there, of course, but I was listening to it intently on via the radio, and it seemed like it was a motivation, a little bit more enthusiasm. What did you think, Ronnie?
Well, listen, I mean, the offensive line has improved from night to day, or day to night, or however you want to call that. Just an outstanding performance by them. Jaleel McLaughlin, obviously the Penguins have found themselves a featured back. Mark Wade threw the ball downfield a little bit more often. He had a yards per attempted average over 6 for the first time all year. I just thought defensively they finally got at the quarterback. They sacked Carson Camp 5 times. Defensively, they played a really good game, holding South Dakota to 226 yards of total offense. They did a great job shutting down the run, limiting South Dakota to just 12 yards on 26 attempts. Overall, it was a fantastic performance by YSU. We'll have Bob Hannon on at 2:00 today to talk a little bit more about this game.
Plus, Grant Dixon played so well here in Missouri Valley Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, and he should have. He had an outstanding game.
But he had an interception. He caused a fumble. He recovered a ball. Outstanding.
Yeah, he sacked the quarterback, 4 tackles. The interception was a thing of beauty. I mean, that was an unbelievable catch by Dixon.
Well, our defense, the whole year long, they've been doing great job. I've been grading them on every game. B+, A-. I would have to give this one the highest grade this year was an A.
I mean, defensively against Southern Illinois, they wore them. They got worn down because the offense wasn't very good. Toward the end of the game, they got worn down. It was the only game that I think that they were off their game, so to speak, but. The improvement from week 1 to week 5 has been nothing short of amazing.
I hope they have this. They got 3 more games left, Ronnie?
Yes. They have North Dakota, who got plastered by North Dakota State in the Fargo Dome, and then they go on the road to Western Illinois and Missouri State.
We probably could get three more victories, but 2 out of 3 wouldn't be that bad. But I think it's going to have the momentum going into the fall practice and everything. This is more or less our spring practice turns out to be real games, and this is going to help us more than hurt us. And I think we settled on the one quarterback issue, but we still got to get some offensive receivers that can go down the field more than 6.5 yards and get open.
No, I agreed. You got to get some separation from the receivers. We got to do a better job of that. But I think Mark Wade has certainly starting to settle into the position. It's not a finished product, but there were some things that he did on Saturday that you would have thought he was not a redshirt freshman. You would have thought he was a junior or a senior with a couple of his throws.
Let's be real. If anyone expected it to be a finished product right now, they're delusional.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just not going to happen. I mean,
no,
he can't be a finished product as a redshirt freshman. That just
no, you can't.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You're gaining a little bit of knowledge. Don't forget, this is a whole new offense than he had the year before. I mean, from the Pelini regime and stuff. You got to learn a new offense. Everything's new for these guys, which it should be when the new coach comes in. He's going to put the things the way he wants to do it. And I think there's going to be some kids going to transfer with this portal opening and stuff like that. Maybe we luck out and get some big-time kids that transferred out and maybe wanted to, wasn't playing at a big-time school that's going to come here and get some playing time in the fall.
Well, I mean, it goes both ways. I mean, we're certainly seeing that with the YSU basketball program. Kids are leaving, but kids are also coming into Youngstown State as well. So, I don't know if we're going to be seeing anyone coming in after the spring season, but certainly this is for a team filled half of the roster that are either freshmen, true freshmen, or redshirt freshmen. Under the circumstances, I think the Penguins are doing a pretty nice job, and they'll get a major test on Saturday when they play North Dakota. North Dakota suffered their first loss of the season. North Dakota State spanked them pretty hard at the Fargo Dome over the weekend, so I'm sure they'll be angry coming into this game. But I think the Penguins are playing a much better brand of basketball, and it'll be an exciting game. Football, excuse me. It'll be a much excitement on Saturday, and I would hope, knock on wood, the weather continues to be glorious and the fans continue to come into Stambaugh and support this team, albeit limited fans.
Number one, does the voice of the Penguins, does he travel to the away games? Or
Yes.
They just they go to the away games. I thought maybe they still stayed back and watched it on monitor and comment.
No, they're going to the games.
Oh, good. That's good. Bob been there a long time. He saw the yings and the yangs of the YSU program coming from nothing to greatness and then back down to nothing again. But I'm sure we're heading in the right direction. Even though one game doesn't make a season, one game can also get the team attention span right then and there. On the matter at hand.
Well, look, I mean, it's been an improvement from week 1 to week 5. It's been a major improvement, and also, and I say this not as an excuse, but as a fact. The first 4 weeks, the Penguins were playing teams that were ranked no lower than 11th in the entire country. So you have a daunting schedule with a bunch of young kids on your team. Now the schedule gets a little bit easier. South Dakota was not ranked. Youngstown State beat them handily. Now we get another team that's ranked. Now, I don't know where North Dakota is going to be because they were number 2. I'm sure they're going to probably be somewhere around number 9, 10, or 11 after the pounding that they took from North Dakota State. But they're still going to be a top 10-ish type of team coming into Stambaugh. And we'll see what the Penguins can do Saturday against North Dakota.
And for our horse playing fans, they got a horse race down at our local racino.
What race? What race?
We're going to go into the. We're looking at the. Hard to do it while I was driving. I think it's the 5th race, the number 4 horse. As I'm driving down the highway and byways here, it starts with M. Macho something.
All right, I will look that up.
Look that up for me, and you can give it to the guys. That's the one I'm going to be on.
5th race, the 4 horse.
Horse.
That would be More Stride.
More Stride.
Yeah, More Stride. Rivera's riding him.
More Stride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rivera is riding him. He's a 6 to 5 morning line.
That's a favorite right in there. We got to tune them in with one of your favorite long shots running, having an exacta.
Yeah. Well, long shots have not treated me well the last 6 months. Lord.
All right, Ronnie. Good luck to you and your listening audience.
Thank you, sir. There he goes off into the night, where he'll probably win money at a racetrack because that's what he does. Amazing. I am in awe of anyone that can pick horses on a consistent level and walk out of that godforsaken arena with money. I'm in awe of that because I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's no way this horse would lose. Oh, yeah, okay, horse lost.
There's no way Illinois would lose.
Yeah, there's no way Illinois is losing to Loyola. Yeah. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Basketball finally comes to a close.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see DeSales was pretty much owning St. V's in the first half of the D2 state championship game?
And things changed.
And then St. V was like, these guys actually want to play basketball. Okay, well, we'll play basketball with you guys.
All right.
Light switch comes on, and the LeBrons show up in the second half and take care of business.
So all the two teams that beat YSN teams won a state championship because Lutheran East also won the Division III state championship, and they're the ones that knocked Mooney out.
Who didn't see that coming, though?
So,
I mean, Lutheran. We had said Lutheran East was an just a ridiculously good basketball
And
team.
then Richmond Heights, who JFK lost in the state semifinals by I think like 4 or 5, something like that.
Did the team that
Botkins.
did Botkins actually win the state championship?
I missed the score. I apologize.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
because it seems to me that Botkins won the state championship, but you know we've been saying this all year long. Richmond Heights, Akron St. V's, Lutheran East, they're all in the Cleveland and Akron and Canton area, and that up in northeastern Ohio where we all are. Those are the teams that I want to see on a non-conference schedule by some of our heavyweights. I would love to see a Lutheran East coming into the Valley, or one of our teams going up there and playing a regular season non-conference game.
Botkins beat Columbus Grove 60-44 in the state championship.
Yeah, Botkins is an unbelievably good team. That's their first state championship, by the way. So if you catch lightning in a bottle, you can win a championship, and clearly that's what Botkins did, getting a state title in Division IV, beating the team that I thought was going to win the state championship in Richmond Heights.
And the way that championship went, it was pretty much the winner of that game was going to win the state championship.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then Lutheran East, as we mentioned, winning the D3 state championship. Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, I think they scored 30-some-odd points in the third quarter and went absolutely ballistic in the second half against DeSales. And that's a good Columbus DeSales team that St. V's wiped out. Menor was in the D1 state semifinals. They got beat in the state semifinals. So
St. Vincent St. Mary was down 33-28 at the half.
Yeah, they were down double digits in the second quarter.
But then the end of the third quarter, remember that halftime score?
Yeah, 33-28.
End of the third, St. Vincent St. Mary led 54-42.
So they scored 26 points, and they only gave up 9 in the third quarter. Oh, Lord.
They went on to win 72-50.
Yeah.
So they just, second half, put on the afterburners, and good night.
That's an unbelievable team.
And then in the D1 final, it was Centerville that beat Westerville Central.
Yeah, the two Columbus teams wound up in the state championship
but like
game.
the girls' tournament, the D1 was the cap off to a great weekend, and it was the most competitive game of the weekend, 45-42. Centerville won. So
yeah,
very thrilling Division I girls and boys state championship games to close out the weekends.
And from what I understand, Dayton was unbelievable as a host.
Dayton was great. Dana said it last week, and I'm sure he'll echo it. The state is going to be happy to stay in Dayton if Dayton will have them. So we might see that state championship be in the Flyers Arena for years to come.
I'm fine with that. You know what? I'm fine with that. It's, just because Columbus is the state capital doesn't mean we have to have all the state championship games in Columbus.
You'd like to have a couple of them there because that's
sure.
But at the end of the day, you try to find the best arena that can also be cost effective.
Absolutely.
And I think for basketball, that's turning out to be Dayton.
And you know what, the track and field championships at Jesse Owens Stadium in Columbus, I'm good with that. That is a fantastic place.
Soccer's in Columbus.
Soccer's in Columbus, where the Columbus Crew play their games, and I'm good with that as well. I'm fine with baseball being played and softball being played in Akron because you have an unbelievable facility for both of the championships.
You're not going to find a better softball arena than Akron Firestone because it was literally built for professional softball.
Sure. And
so in the state of Ohio, at least you'll find better complexes. There's the Berliner Park complex in Columbus. That's a lot of softball fields, and I think probably the biggest sports baseball, softball complex in the state. But it doesn't have the stadium seating that Firestone has.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I love the state championships held at Canal Park, home of the Akron Rubber Ducks.
Right.
It's in downtown Akron. It's a beautiful stadium.
We haven't seen a state championship in that one yet because they were supposed to be last year, the first year, right?
Yes.
And then obviously spring sports got axed last year.
Yeah. And
because before that they were in Huntington Park, right?
They were in Huntington Park, and no disrespect to Huntington Park, it's a beautiful facility, but for the broadcasters,
right? It was,
and I have no idea why they did this.
We did a state championship with South Range down there,
yeah,
and it just wasn't. You were out in the open, the wind kept hitting you.
Yeah, that's where the Columbus Clippers broadcasters are. They don't have a facility in the press box for whatever reason. When they built that stadium, they said, well, the broadcasters can be outside in the elements. Now, you have a roof over you, the second deck, where you're underneath this. But the sight lines are horrendous for a broadcaster. Too. And the wind and all of that stuff, it's blowing all your notes and whatnot away. I couldn't stand it.
We had to be very adaptive to where, just grab whatever we could, use it as a paperweight, grab a rock.
Yeah,
I have a rock. We got real primitive technology.
The classic line from Charlie Brown: "I got a rock."
I got all this candy. I got a rock.
I got a rock. Exactly. And we're going to use it to put all our game notes on because normally in a stadium you would have your own little cubicle in the press box, and your cubicle has a window on either side where you would tape your game notes, and you have an excellent view of the stadium, which is what they have at Canal Park. Canal Park is gorgeous. It's one of my favorite AA facilities.
But I will say that me and DJ, when we did that state championship, we were ready for the elements because YSN spent the whole high school season in the elements.
Of course.
I mean, we're out at softball, baseball fields. There's no cover at all. And we're, using whatever we can to keep our paper on our... usually now I use the iPad because the Game Changer app just pull up on the iPad, no papers to worry about.
There you go.
So I love Game Changer, but we're using paper. We have bungees to strap the camera to the fence so the wind doesn't blow the camera away. We Mick Jagger a bunch of stuff.
Oh, my Lord.
You have to be adaptive when you're doing broadcasts out in the elements.
I remember, and this, I got to go way, way, way back. In the early 90s when the cell phones were in the bags.
Right.
Yeah.
They were better than the 80s ones that gave you cancer, but
they
were still...
Yeah. John Caparanus and I kid you not. I almost said it. I kid you not. John Caparanus and I did more than a handful of games from our car. We parked it down the left field line as close to the fence area as possible. Now,
That's like foul ball danger area, though.
absolutely it is. Now, clearly, you're not going to be getting the balls and strikes very, very well because your view is nowhere near, as you said, because it's foul ball heaven. But
I hope your
that's
windshield was insured.
but that's where we had our quote best sight. So okay, we'll broadcast the game from here. Oh, that was an adventure. Never
Yeah,
again.
The ball's pop foul to left. And right into our windshield.
Yeah, fortunately, knock on wood, we never had that experience. But it
I
was.
remember a softball game at South Range when the umpires parked their car in a spot that clearly is dead, no parking, you shouldn't park there. And karma caught up with him because a foul ball went right into his windshield.
There you go.
And I was like, oh, I mean, I feel bad for you, dude, but I mean, there's a sign right there that says no parking. Oops.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I now that I'm umpiring, even when I'm doing games, I am parking as far away from the facility. I mean, within reason, as I can get. So if I'm doing, and I would cover the scrappers.
Ron, where you parked? Oh, down the street a couple miles. I'm fine.
Yeah, I would cover the scrappers outside of the stadium because a lot of foul balls will go out of the stadium. If a foul ball straight back goes over the roof and out of the stadium, I'm parking probably about 50 yards from the stadium. I'm like, there's no way this ball is going to be touching my car. I'm going to be way over here. Thank you very much. Same thing with gotta put my hands here and okay. I'm pretty sure I didn't say anything wrong. All right. When I'm doing a game at high school, Firestone Park is one of those places where everyone wants to park over by those beautiful trees, and I'm like, you're out of your mind. That ball, you're going to get drilled with a foul ball. I'm way over where the weightlifting thing is. Over by the football field.
Downside is that's a lot of walking to get to the.
Oh, I agree with that.
And it's off terrain walking.
I agree with that, but there is no way I'm getting any damage to my car. That's not happening.
I'd rather have damage to my feet.
Absolutely. I'll take damage to my feet for 200 instead of damage to my car for 1,000.
Crestview, you park and you have to go through a lot of grass to get to the field. This is where I learned click it or take it. I'm always clicked in no matter what.
There you go.
I hit a divot at Crestview. Whoop!
Oops.
Right out of the chair into the grass. So click it or take it always.
Now, they have the parking facility.
Yeah, you parking and then you kind of walk down. I mean, and then I go right behind home plate so I can see what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of, you have to go back over and back to get to the behind home plate.
Now, the other thing is,
Springfield's like that too. You park and then you have to go for the softball. At least you have to go over and back to get to the softball field.
Now, what I would like to see, and obviously that's what I would like to see, and what actually is seen is two entirely different things, but a nice cart path would be really ideal. And I have you in mind with this. A nice cart path would be pretty much ideal, where you just have a nice little walking space for everyone.
Not just me, but like a lot of the grandparents come to softball games.
Sure.
I would not want to walk with a walker through all that grass.
Oh, hell no.
That'd be worse than the wheelchair.
It's just there are too many bumps in areas where you can twist an ankle or worse.
Right.
That would be something that I would like to see. Now, doing games from behind home plate has its disadvantages too, because a little foul ball that just barely trickles over the fence, you're SOL if you're really up close against that fence. You're going to wind up getting your stuff annihilated.
The stadiums that have just a fence that goes a little bit arced.
Yeah.
You go almost impossible to get a foul ball to go.
Yep.
Like loop it.
Agreed.
But this weekend in a college softball game, I saw a foul ball go at least 4 feet down the line foul, and then it just like I've never seen a ball off the bat do this. It just took a left turn into fair territory on the ground. It had so much spin on it.
Wow.
It was ridiculous.
Did it land in foul ground though?
Oh yeah. And
Okay.
It hit the grass or something, and it just went whoop.
Landed in foul ground, but it took enough
Yeah, and
spin where it went back into fair territory.
It was Angels in the outfield type stuff.
Man, that's crazy.
Like,
Wow.
and what it was. I mean, obviously it's a base hit because everyone was like, okay, this is unplayable, and then whoop.
Well, it couldn't have been a fair ball.
Yeah, because
If
it went back fair before it crossed the plate.
Oh, okay. So you're saying you're saying it started in foul ground, but before it went over the bag,
right,
it was back into fair territory.
Right, way before. I mean, it went almost in like a 90-degree.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, and that's one of those things where you just look at this and
our first break. I'll show you the video. It's nuts.
And you're trained as an umpire. You don't call anything foul until the ball goes past the bag, the first or the third base bag.
It's almost muscle memory. Like that one, okay, it's foul.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, whoop.
Yeah, and then you're just, oh, well, and here's where, an umpire does this, and I've done this. I will be perfectly honest. I've done this once. Where you pretty much are sure that it's going to go foul, and you go one of these numbers, and the ball goes back into fair territory, and I'm just like down here going, doo 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 doo. Hope nobody saw that.
You go, fair. I was yawning.
Yeah. I did that. I have done that a couple of times behind the plate.
I've seen umpires do this and then stop.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're going to be out for sure.
Yeah.
And then like there's a bobble or
exactly.
Something.
And I've done this a couple of times, and it's a horrible habit. And I'm glad I'm behind the plate today in scrimmage, even though I'm not thrilled with being behind the plate.
Are you going to go behind the plate?
I am going to go behind the plate. But I've done this a couple of times where I'm caught between. I'm like, okay, that looked like a strike, and I do one of these things, and I'm like, no. And they're like, well, what was that? My hand was kind of twitching a little bit. It's a ball.
It's a ball.
And they're like, but you could have called that a strike. Well, I could have.
As a fan, that drives me crazy.
I know. And
I've seen umps do that before where it's like you wanted to call it a strike.
Exactly.
And what the heck is wrong with you?
Exactly. And you get the people saying, what the heck's wrong with you? And I'm, you know what? Pile on me, because I screwed that one up. Abso-friggin-lutely, pile on me. Because I'll do one of these things and then just put the hand down. I'm just like, no, that's not a strike. Like, well, you should have called that. I'm like, well, I didn't.
Oh, I didn't.
330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. Dana Balish from TV 21 will check in at 1 o'clock. Bob Hannon, who is working his regular job over at the United Way, where they do such a great job, he'll be talking about the YSU victory over South Dakota at 2 o'clock. We'll take a time out and be back with more on this Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig. You showed me that play in college softball. That was weird.
I've never seen a ball do that off the bat. It was 4 feet foul, and it just went whoop.
That was one of those things. I guarantee the ball was hit off the end of the bat and had so much spin that it automatically did a violent left-hand turn and went back into the baseline. Now, fortunately, the defenders were all over it, and they were able to throw her out at first base. All right, let's go to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on, brother?
How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. Yourself?
Well, real quick, a comment. That is the great thing about baseball and softball. It's all about physics and the angles. If it can physically happen, you better believe it. It's going to happen on a baseball field. That's just the way it is.
Well, listen, I mean, and I saw this, and I'm like, okay, I'll guarantee you that ball was hit off the end of the bat, and it put enough spin on the ball where it would make a turn back into fair territory. It was crazy.
I bet it was a off-speed movement pitch, too, that already had a lot of spin on it.
Yeah, and it was tailing to the outside. Right. And you hit the ball off the end of the bat. Now there's even more spin from left to right, and then it automatically moves the ball, English-wise, it moves the ball back into fair territory.
Well, the thing that I have a hard time watching sometime is somebody lay down a bunt, and the bunt is clearly fair, and they leave it alone, and it rolls foul. The groundskeepers took care of that.
Yeah, it's hilarious when you see, and it doesn't happen very often. You'll see a third baseman get down on his hands and knees and start blowing on the ball to see if he can get the ball to go foul, which is perfectly legal, but it doesn't happen all the time though.
Start doing this.
Yeah.
Ronnie, the more things change, the more things stay the same. I've been wanting to talk to you, but I want to get all the information together. I want you to have all your information together because whenever baseball starts, right before it starts, me and you have a conversation about, first of all, what do you think about the Yankees and who are the teams? Like 2 years ago, you mentioned Minnesota. I understand we're coming back from the virus, but what do you think the Yankees, how they looking? Because when they went to spring training, they pretty much had their team together except for pitching. What do you think?
No, I think the Yankees are going to be the favorite in the American League East this year. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to win the division because I think Toronto's going to be right there toward the end.
You think Baltimore can do what they did in the 60-game season and make it last?
Yeah,
they surprised a lot of people.
They did. They surprised an awful lot of people, and I think Baltimore is going to be much improved, but I think they're still going to be a year or so out.
I forget. Are they going back to normal playoffs?
Oh, they're going back to normal.
So not expanding.
We're not extending anything. We're back to normal again.
That's stupid.
Yeah, so I think the Yankees and the Blue Jays are going to be the two teams that are going to probably be separating themselves. Tampa will be there for a little bit, but Tampa lost too many arms. They they would have to have an awful lot of players go off career highs to catch Toronto and New York. But I think that New York will probably win the East. I'm still not enamored with their starting rotation, although it's gotten better. There's still question marks. The biggest of which is Soriano going to be completely healthy and completely reliable coming off Tommy John? And the other question is Corey Kluber going to still have one solid Kluber-esque type of year left in him? Because if he does, I think the Yankees could very easily win the pennant and go to the World Series.
Some other things is, can that lineup stay healthy?
Well,
they have some guys in that lineup that have been very prone to injury the last couple of years. Stanton.
Yeah, Stanton's Judge is another one. Yeah.
They got to stay healthy.
Wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute. Hold it. Enough. Just wait one cotton pick minute. Now, Now, we're running Garrett Cole out there, right?
Yes.
We're running Kluber behind him, right?
Not necessarily. You probably will run Soriano after Cole.
So Soriano, he just pitched like 20 pitches. We're not even, I don't think, you think we'll see him before the All-Star break?
You probably won't see him the first month or two. I'll give you that.
Okay, and I don't like the guy. I don't like the guy. Gramont, I don't like him, but man, is he throwing that ball, dude? Have you watched him?
No, I haven't seen much Yankee baseball this year.
And Kluber's looking better than he did when he was with the Indians, man. And the one that I'm worried about is Tyone. I don't know if he can. That's the guy that I think that. Of course, did I hear you say he's a decent pitcher, like a 12 or 14 game winner?
He can be a really good pitcher. He's been injury prone. And I don't know if he's going to be healthy at the start of the year either, which, you're going to have to get the Montgomerys and some of these other kids that you have in your farm system ready to go. And Montgomery, I guess last year he did okay. Maybe he'll be a back of the rotation type of guy. I don't know.
Bullpen's also a question mark. I don't know. Bullpen's always been a question mark for the Yankees.
Well, our bullpen has always been. We only want to go 7 innings. Our bullpen has always been by committee. If we get 5 quality innings out of a starter, we're good to go. We've been doing that for years. And one more quick thing. I know we're coming to the top of the order. Next time I talk to you, we got to talk about them old Pittsburgh Steelers, man. They didn't put the band back together again. I don't know if I like that.
Listen. A lot of folks out there believe that you went out to an 11-0 start. There's talent on this team. You went out to an 11-0 start. It's widely regarded the Steelers didn't have a bye week like every other team. And that may have had something to do with the fact they crapped on themselves at the end of the year because you didn't have the bye week. It's pretty clear that the Steelers are going to need some help on the offensive line. I'll be curious to see if they make a deal and move up in the draft to get their hands on a left tackle. Because it's pretty obvious to me Villanueva's not coming back. The Steelers can't afford to have him because they're up against the cap.
Well, we signed a couple offensive linemen, but I think what we're trying to do is there are offensive linemen out there. Sure, they might not be the top of the rung, but as bad as we looked the last 4 games of the season, man, I think we could find somebody at the Southern Park Mall to play better than those guys was. You're hiking the ball over the doggone quarterback's head. You don't fall on it. You don't block. We give up 27 points in the first 8 minutes. My God. Listen, thanks for taking my call, my brother.
All right, I appreciate it. and I think that, and thanks for the call, Emmanuel, and I think a lot of Steelers fans are looking at that last game thinking to themselves, oh, my God, look at this team. It's
hard
horrible.
But you can't define what the team is by that one game. Everything that could have went wrong for the Steelers in that game went terribly wrong.
Absolutely. That doesn't mean that the Steelers are all of a sudden this god-awful team that nobody is going to be able to fix. Again, this team was 11-0 and didn't have a bye before they went south. This isn't a bad football team. Now, I don't know if they're going to be as good as Baltimore or Cleveland for that matter, but they're not they're not going to be taken out to the pasture anytime soon.
That's the truth. And, it's funny. I think that we're going to see a lot of quarterbacks taken early in this draft by the way that and I think that's what the teams are expecting at least, because we've seen a lot of teams in the middle of this draft go and get quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The Bears have gone and got a quarterback. The Patriots went and signed Cam and are trying to get a quarterback. I think teams are kind of expecting the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks to be gone pretty early in this draft. Washington is another team that went and got a quarterback.
Sure. How many teams are going to be looking at the Jets if the Jets decide to get the Wilson kid from BYU? How many teams are going to be calling the Jets and saying, what do you want for Sam Darnold? Because I'm going to tell you right now, Sam Darnold can still be a damn good quarterback if he gets himself out of New York and finds himself with some talent around him. Because the next time Sam Darnold has talent around him in the skill position players in the NFL will be the first time Sam Darnold has talent around him in the National Football League.
I feel like the price would still be high because the Jets are putting value on Sam Darnold to still be their starter.
Yeah, but if they decide we're going to go, we're now going to reset the clock and we're going to put this kid from BYU is going to be our guy. Clearly, they can get something for Darnold, whether it's a high second-round pick, a low first-round pick. San Francisco, in my voice, they should be waiting in line. There's a couple of other teams that it makes perfect sense for them to go out and get a Sam Darnold.
I would have said Washington if they didn't make offseason moves already to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
I also would have said Chicago if they didn't already make some moves. Those would be two. But now that those two teams have made moves to get quarterbacks already, San Francisco is probably the front runner for anyone that would make
Denver?
I don't think they're closing the book on Locke yet, and I'm not either. He's a young talent, and he's young, and he's got some growing up to do mentally because he showed some immaturity. But he had flashes this year where he looked like a darn good quarterback. So I don't think John Elway and his god awful ability to develop quarterbacks is done with shoot. What I just said is
with Locke.
Locke.
Yeah.
I don't think they're done with him yet.
I'll be real curious to see what happens. By the way, they announced this morning. The NFL draft is expected to actually have people. So the NFL draft is going to be in Cleveland this year, and they're going to be having people in Cleveland to watch the NFL draft. So that should be fun. Back to normal, somewhat.
A little bit.
Yeah, somewhat normal. Speaking of normal. This is the final week for exhibition/scrimmages to be played before we start the baseball and softball season.
A lot of softball teams have their first game on Saturday, and if not Saturday, they go into the next week. So we're hitting the ground running. Let's go.
Yeah, this will be a lot of fun. I'm actually going to be in Boardman behind the plate for a scrimmage today.
Some very interesting scrimmages this week too with baseball, softball. I mean, South Range is going to Louisville on Tuesday. That'll be because Louisville is coming off a state championship. People, it's easy to forget these teams. I mean, I know it's been 2 years, but still reigning state champions. So I think there are some very interesting scrimmages to see how teams kind of lock up with each other.
Yeah. Now, in this particular circumstance, if you had seniors on that class of 2019 and juniors,
right, they're all gone.
They're all gone. So now you're basically, okay, who was a sophomore and who was a freshman on this team? They're now seniors and juniors on this team. I don't know if I can take stock into you won a championship 2 years ago.
Right.
This is going to be hard to even think about predicting because
unless you're champion.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, you're a favorite.
Well, yeah. I mean, unless you're...
Because Campion still has Brookwood. They still have Emma Gamont. They still have girls that go and just show out in really good travel ball venues in the summer. So you know they're going to be good. So Champion's sitting pretty. I promise you that. But every other team, you go, man, what do they get? That's why I'm watching some of these scrimmages on Game Changer, and I'm trying to get the stats because... that's how you predict, even though how fluid scrimmages can be. That's the only thing we have to go on.
Yeah. I saw last week and I probably should have pulled in just to see who South Range was playing. I think it was Ursuline. There was somebody scrimmaging in the complex at South Range, and I probably should have gone over there just to see who was scrimmaging. But the uniforms looked an awful lot like Ursuline. May have been someone else. But and while that was going on, the South Range softball team was also scrimmaging. So you were double fisting on the softball facilities right next door to the baseball facilities. So it's that time of year, and we could not ask for better weather.
I love that setup. The softball game ends, so you can go catch the end of the baseball game. It's right next to it, and it's far enough away where the balls don't interfere with the game, but also close enough where you can just.
Yeah. Unless you really clobber a ball out of the stadium.
There's only been, I think, 2 home runs baseball-wise hit at South Range baseball. It's a hard place to hit a home run in. It's a very deep baseball field for a high school level.
Yes, it is.
So I think one person from a non-South Range team hit one, and I think Pancake hit the first South Range home run. The last 2019, I think he hit the first South Range Raider home run in that ball field. I'm sure Paul Munson will correct me if he's listening, and I'm wrong on that. I'm sure I'll get a text, but I think Pancake hit the first South Range Raider home run.
What is it? 330 down the lines down there.
Something. I mean, I once again, Paul will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think so. I think it's 330 down the lines, and then like 340 or 345 to center.
Yeah. Because
it's a deep part.
I know Firestone in center field is 370, 375, something like that. But I think the right field line was a little bit shorter than the left field line at Firestone. But yeah, I mean you got some pretty deep fields.
There are some teams. I'm more privy to the softball, but there are some teams where you watch and you say, okay. We saw Kaden Sutton as a freshman have more wins than anybody in the AAC her freshman season, which is what they were in before the MVAC back in 2019. So she's going to be a junior. You got to believe she's going to come out and she's going to pitch well for the Rebels. You got Columbiana, who has Troy Long, who pitched really well in summer ball for the Pride. So you know she's going to come out and pitch really well for the Clippers. So there are some players that you just know, okay, they're juniors or seniors, but we've seen them. We've seen them in travel ball. They're going to do a really good job. But then there are some teams that have a lot of sophomores, freshmen that you go, oh, man, I just don't know. I don't know anything about these players because we haven't seen them play.
And here's the thing. If you're trying to, or if you're good enough to get some attention from colleges and you're a junior this year, you're in really good shape.
Right.
But if you're a senior, you're SOL.
Especially in softball, now that the NCAA has done away with the early recruiting.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I mean, I don't even say back in the day, like back 4 or 5 years ago, you could get recruited, you could be committed to your freshman year of high school to a college.
Sure.
As an 8th grader, you could be committed. And a lot of the big schools, if you weren't committed by your sophomore or junior year, you didn't have a big shot of getting recruited by like a big Power 5 Division I. Which is sad because, like, what freshman kid knows where they want to go to college?
Yeah, exactly.
And all the coaches, the NFCA got together and said, we need to change this, and they did. So now you really can't commit until junior year, and that's a lot better in my opinion.
And I think colleges are going to be scrambling this year. This is where the class of 2021, we said this would affect this class far more than any other class because their junior year was wiped out.
And the dead period extended into summer, so coaches could not go physically and watch their games in summer.
Yeah. So this class, this senior class, they're really going to have an amazing, amazing year to get everyone's attention. But the juniors and the sophomores, hey, this is normal now. We're now back to normal, where the kids can, if you're good enough, you're going to be recruited by colleges.
And I think the dead period is going to extend until June. I think that's when they said they're going to end the dead period and go into a quiet period, which is great for football because you don't really go and watch football games as a coach.
Sure.
There's no travel football, but for the softball kids and baseball, coaches still won't be allowed to go to games. They can now have kids on campus and in the quiet period. But softball and baseball are still going to be behind the 8 ball this summer recruiting.
Which just that's going to mean so much for the kids in the schools to have a really big year, because that's probably going to be the only time they're going to be seen. Right. So they're going to have a really big year. It's kind of weird that you're telling the head coach here at Youngstown State, oh, by the way, don't go over to Scene Park and watch B-League baseball. You're not allowed to.
You can't go over there. You can have them on campus after June, but you can't. You still can't. I'm pretty sure you're still not going to be allowed to go to games.
Man, that's crazy. We're going to take a timeout. Dana Balish from TV21 will join us. Our segment with Dana coming up next. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
The 2021 Auto Show must go on. Exclusively at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Save more during the Extra Mile Auto Show with employee pricing for everyone on some of our most popular models. Plus, get an additional $1,000 on the value of your trade. Schedule a test drive today to experience the 2021 lineup for yourself.
Visit GreenwoodAutoShow.com
to see how Greenwood Chevrolet can go the extra mile for you.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer goes the extra mile to bring you the largest selection of vehicles at one convenient location. With guaranteed credit approval, I will find you the right vehicle and the right financing options for you. I am ready to go the extra mile to show you why no other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig. Joining us as he does every Monday at this time, TV21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Dana, how the heck are you today, sir?
Doing well, Ron. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Over the weekend, Youngstown State getting their first victory of the season, first victory in the Coach Phillips era. They dominate South Dakota, and what a difference. The Penguins take on a team that wasn't ranked in the top 25, and they showed their dominance on Saturday.
Well, I think it was a case of where, everything came together. Is it finished? No, but I think, it's probably the best overall game they played, Ron. They gave up, 12 yards rushing, got 3 turnovers. It was a great day. Probably we've had, the spring for the home games has been absolutely great. So the people that were there, enjoyed some sunshine. And I thought they played well. I thought defensively, they've came up with some turnovers. They were able to capitalize on those turnovers. I think the special teams were better. I think the offensive line is developing. I think McLaughlin is really, really good, coming from Notre Dame, Ohio. Defensively, you put pressure on the quarterback, bad things happen, or good things happen from a defensive standpoint, and they were able to do that. But it's a good win for them. Ron, at the beginning of the year, I thought they would get 2 wins, and I thought one of those wins would come against South Dakota. I think the next one will come against Western Illinois. North Dakota comes into town after getting, beaten by North Dakota State, and, Missouri State went into Northern Iowa and beat them by a touchdown in a really good defensive game. So, I thought Missouri State may be one of those wins, but and it still could be. But I think the way YSU's playing, I'm going to stick with the 2 wins, and we'll see what happens.
Considering first year head coach coming off of COVID, all this and the spring schedule and the craziness, I think 2 wins is a pretty good measuring stick of how much they've improved from week 1 to now week 5. I think 2 wins would definitely be satisfactory. 3 wins would be amazing considering all that the Penguins have had to overcome.
Well, I think if you look, where they were, they have a new staff in place. They've had some people leave. I just think this year, and again, this spring is practice with games, and I think that's going to be beneficial down the road. Maybe not this fall, maybe in the fall of 2022. But I think this is a bonus. I think playing games gives them a real good feeling of where they are with personnel, where they are with players. I would think when the spring season is over that, some players may leave, but you're also going to get some guys in, so I think that's huge. Look, this is again, spring practice with games, and I think every coach, can evaluate and see where they are heading into the fall. Of course, unless you're Illinois State, where you just kind of say, okay, we're not going to play anymore. But and YSU did not have them on the schedule, so they're not going to lose a game. But these games are valuable, and I think it's good for the development of the program, especially with the first-year coach.
Well, and especially when you consider that half of the roster is true freshmen or redshirt freshmen. This scenario of playing spring football against the Missouri Valley Athletic Conference, this was a godsend as far as I'm concerned for this program.
Well, and again, I asked Coach Phillips, would you rather be playing games or practicing? And he says, of course you want to play games. And again, it's a free 8 games. I don't think there were any expectations for this team to go to the playoffs. I think the expectations for this team right now is to get better, and go out on a strong note. Of course, you want to stay injury-free. Of course, you want your players to develop. And again, I think it's the perfect scenario for this team. Look, Ron, I don't expect them to be a playoff team in the fall. This team's going to play 18 games in a 9-month span, 8 now and 10, regular season in the fall. But I think when we're talking 2022 and 2023, I think the expectations will be high for this team.
Another successful state championship weekend in Dayton. Everything went smooth. We didn't have a local team there, but from watching it and kind of seeing all the scores, another successful weekend, which means probably another feather in the cap for the state wanting to keep that championship weekend in Dayton for years to come.
Well, I think that's what's going to happen. I think I said it a couple of weeks ago. Dayton wants it, and they did a great job there for the girls, and I think for the boys it was the same thing. So I think that's a plus for them. But again, it was a successful tournament. We did not have any teams have to, I don't want to say forfeit, but give up their spot, which was really, really good as well. So I think the future is bright for the state tournaments to be down in Dayton for years to come.
Dana, it was announced this morning by the National Football League the NFL draft is going to be in Cleveland, and they announced this morning that fans will be allowed to attend the NFL draft. Given what everything the state has done, and given what we have been through in the last year, is it a situation where this is a little early, or do you think this is where we should be right now?
Well, I think, first of all, Ron, I think it's limited fans. It's going to be limited. I don't even know if limited fans is right. I read somewhere where it's select fans. So I don't know if it's fair to say that fans, but there's going to be a number of prospects there, a certain number of the media there. So this is not going to be the full-fledged draft that we're used to seeing. I think this is going to be a scaled-down version, but allowing some fans. So my guess would be, your longest season ticket holder, for the Browns may get a seat or something like that. But I don't see it as being a full-fledged, wide open, go and enjoy it. I don't think it's going to be that at all. I think this is going to be a scaled-down version of, and I'm trying to find where I read that this morning, and I can't, but I remember seeing a select number of prospects, select number of fans, and select number of media in attendance.
Another great weekend for YSU baseball as they bounce back from their Wright State series by sweeping St. Bonaventure. Do you think, obviously the competition goes down. St. Bonaventure came in. That was their first games of the season. But still, do you think getting these wins and getting that momentum can carry them into a good weekend against Wright State again here in Youngstown?
Anytime you play, you can get better, and I think that was the case with the baseball team. It was a great weekend. We don't have a lot of those in March in this area, so it was nice for the baseball team to get games in. I don't care who the competition is, as long as you could play a game and go through those scenarios, it's going to make you better. Now, Wright State is the preseason, favorites, and when YSU went down there 2 weeks ago, it was not pretty. So, baseball's a funny game. You can be great one day and not so great the next day, and I think that works at all levels.
Dana, before we let you go, and we're speaking with 21 Sports Director Dana Ballish on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Good to see he's not a Valley native, but his dad is a Valley native. Ryan Blaney getting his first victory in NASCAR. He got the win in Atlanta. Unexpected in that he was not supposed to have won this race. It was being absolutely dominated by Kyle Larson, but Larson's tires weren't all that great toward the end of the race, and Ryan Blaney was able to pass him and hang on for the victory. A good win for a quote Valley native, even though he wasn't born in the area, his father was.
Well, and again, Ron, I'm not the greatest NASCAR expert, or not even put my not even that. I mean, I guess an observer. But you get those fresh tires, and and Blaney's kind of that. I'm not going to say daredevil, but he likes to take chances, and the chance paid off yesterday, and. He's a heck of a driver. He's a heck of a racer. And like I said, I don't know much about NASCAR. I follow it a little bit because of him and, the Blaney name. But I think, look, he didn't start out very good. Now he's locked into the postseason with the win. And we're 5 races in or 6 races in. You've had 6 different winners. He's a contender, for the championship, in my opinion. I mean, I think he's got a good team behind him. His teammates of Logano and Kozlowski, they seem to work together. He's young enough, and I know Chase Elliott won it last year and all that stuff, but I think Blaney's one of those names that's, kind of on the uptick here. And I think, he won at Talladega last year. He was, made it into the second round of the playoffs last year. And again, people will compare him to his dad. Well, his dad didn't have the greatest team. I mean, his dad was a one-man team, and when you got a big name like Penske behind you, I mean, you get better equipment. You get top of the line stuff, and his dad just didn't have that. But I like watching Blaney race. He's one of those guys who takes a chance, and he's just very, very low key, and I think that's good.
We're just a week away from, baseball, softball getting kicked up in the high school level. Have you had the chance to talk to any coaches this week to preview the seasons and kind of get the feel of what they can expect from really the first baseball, softball season we've seen in 2 years at the high school level?
Well, I think, in softball, you got to look at champion. I mean, here's a team that would have won their 4th in a row last year. Now they lost their 2 pitchers and Sophie Howe. And again, I think this is one of the teams you got to look at. But again, it's a funny game. If you have 2 good pitchers, you're going to go. And I think that's the key, is especially in baseball, you need two good pitchers. In softball, really all you need is one arm. But I think it's way too early to tell just, where we are with teams and what it's going to be about. I know, and I always look to the postseason a little bit now just to kind of see some dates and locations. And hopefully Scene Park will be, the site of some regionals. I heard that could possibly be in the mix. So, there's just things that, it's too early to tell because, look, you could have a great week this week and the next week not play a game, because of weather. So, again, I think, kids are just happy to get out there to play, and girls out there to play softball because, like you said, it is the first time in 2 years that they're able to compete.
Hey, Dana, are the tournament's going to be the same as the basketball, the winter sports, where you have two districts combined into one?
I don't think they've made that decision just yet, Ron, on what's going to happen. Again, I think this is going to be – I think baseball's a little bit different because it's an outside sport. And I don't know what the Northeast board is thinking at that time, but I think – I think there's a good chance a regional could be, down at Scene. I don't know what division that would be. I'm assuming the districts will be down there. But again, you look at Scene, and if the weather's a little inclement, you could go to some turf fields, in Austintown. So I don't know what the plan is right now, Ron, for softball and baseball when it comes to that.
Dana, always a pleasure. Look forward to catching up with you next week, sir.
Thanks, guys.
You got it. Dana Ballas, 21 Sports Director, joining me and us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning
Don't forget
Hotline.
about me.
Nah, I apologize. Us, because there's two of us, so it's not a me, it's an us.
I do want to correct myself, and I told you I'd get corrected if I was wrong. Ben Rivera is the first Raider to hit a home run at South Range, that field.
Okay.
He did that in 2019. So I had the year right. I just had the player wrong.
Gotcha.
So they want to be correct because that's what our standard is at running back.
Absolutely it is.
So Ben Rivera, first Raider to hit a home run at South Range. The other home run on that field was, according to Paul Munson, the JV kid from Slippery Rock, right center. And then Ben Rivera hit one to left center, 2019.
Over the fence.
Over the fence.
Okay. Interesting. Halftime of the first of 8 games that will be played today in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Oregon is leading Iowa 56-46.
Oh my God! There goes the Big Ten again.
Yeah, the Big Ten's taking a massive dump.
I did say the Oregon has the best roster in the Pac-12, in my opinion. Doesn't always equate to playing the best basketball, but they have a lot of talent.
Listen, I'm just amazed that somebody scored 56 points in one half of basketball.
Yeah, 46 is high too.
Yeah, defense has been optional in this game today. Let's go to the phone lines. Tony, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on, Tony?
Hi. Thanks for bringing up Blaney. It's exciting and it is a local family. I think he was actually born here. He wasn't raised here, of course. That was High Point, but he was born here apparently. Hey, take Wikipedia for what it's worth, right?
Yeah, there you go. It's on the internet, so it must be true.
I don't think there's a hospital in Hartford, but they list Hartford as his birthplace. So.
Well, hey, listen, it's got to be it's got to be true. It was on the internet. All I know is Kyle Larson was dominant in this entire race. And his tires, they ran out of rubber.
Let me throw a few things out to you real quick, and people, he's implying maybe that he runs, at 110% of what he should be running. I think he was setting, in a large way, he was setting him up. His long runs were really good, and if you look at the second to the last and the third to the last segment, he started making up. A second every 2 or 3 laps toward the end of those runs. So he knew he had a run at the end. He didn't want to get in early, competing with him early and use up his tires.
Yeah.
So he let him run away.
Yeah.
And it worked out well for him. So, by the way, Dave Blaney did have a 2 years with Richard Childress Racing. So he did have a couple good years, good opportunities. And an interesting coincidence about this Atlanta race, Dave Blaney had two really good opportunities to win when he was running. One was the time. Remember the track caught on fire at Daytona that one year when ran into the blower and had a fire on the track.
Yeah.
Well, they decided to delay it for hours and hours on hours, and then they went back to racing. And he was in the lead when that occurred, so that was one chance. And probably the best chance he had, I think he was running the '93 car, I think it was the Amoco car at the time. And it was in Atlanta. He had a 6-second lead. Last pit stop, comes in, makes his pit stop, coming out of the pits, and his wheel came off.
Oh, Lord.
We never got to I never heard the resolution of what occurred at that point.
Somebody didn't.
He had a 6-second lead going away.
What occurred was someone got fired on the spot.
Yeah, somebody didn't put the lug nuts on tight enough. Good Lord.
I don't know, or the driver got too anxious and went too early. But you can't go till you drop the jack. So whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's not feel bad for Dave Blaney. He was the top driver in the Outlaw Series when he was running it, and he made a hell of a lot of money.
Oh, yes,
running
he did.
NASCAR for those 15 years or whatever he ran it.
Yes, he did. But his kid is with Penske, and when you think of automobiles, Penske is he's the guy, and Dan is right. I mean, Ryan Blaney has hooked up with much like Hendrick and Blaney and Hendrick, Penske, and Ganassi. They're the three that get just a whole lot of great stuff.
Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, Joe Gibbs is another one, and Richard Petty is one. Although Richard Petty's really hasn't had a champion in a month of Sundays, but. If you get on board with one of those entities, you're going to get some damn good equipment.
Now let's consider this. He didn't get on board. Roger Penske brings you on board.
Oh, absolutely.
Roger Penske went out and sought this kid out.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have the goods, and you have to impress the folks that have this tremendous knowledge of racing, and Ryan Blaney did, and he's got a great team.
Did you watch the race?
A little bit of it.
He is so marketable. This shtick he does with handing a young kid the flag after the race, it brings tears to my eyes almost every time I see it.
Yeah.
It is such a special thing. What the hell does that flag mean to him or whoever he hands it to? Whatever cute girl he hands it to after the race.
Yeah.
Give it to a little kid, and that means so much to that child.
Well, he gave it to the kid that was wearing his T-shirt. Hey, he sought this kid out.
He's given it to now he's won 5 races now, and I don't know if people know that. This isn't like it's his first race. He's won 5 races, and he's been in very, very competitive situations numerous. Well, take last year. He should have won the Daytona 500.
Yep.
Or could have. So he's been in very opportune situations a number of times. 3 times this year, the first 3 races, for people who think he hasn't been having a great year, he got taken out 3 times this year.
Yeah, he was involved in a quote big one in Daytona, which normally happens when you're driving 3 and 4 wide up and down the track, and you're bound to have a disaster. And he was part of the disaster, unfortunately. And I thought he was.
The horrible thing is he did. If you're talking about the one this year, the amazing thing is the way he avoided contact.
Yeah,
it was just amazing. And he was right skirting the apron on the muddy infield because they had a lot of rain. And somebody came down and got him into the infield. And he just tore up the front of his car, grabbed the splitter, and just tore up the front of the car. So, just a very talented kid. One more, and this isn't in any way, putting Dana down at all, but I do not see him as a daredevil. I see him as a kid who has so many gifts that he's capable to run run his car on a more of a nice edge than most people are able to, because unless he gets wrecked, he does not wreck. I mean, he'll go sideways is of his own doing, and he'll maintain control of the vehicle.
Let's be real. To drive a NASCAR, you have to have a little bit of daredevil in you anyway, because you're just a little bit.
You got to be little tiny nuts too to drive a car 200 miles an hour. I'm just and be inches away from the back bumper. That's every time I see that, I'm like, it takes a different breed of a person to do something like that.
Because
but he's got the makeup to do it. He's just so.
Oh, I agree with you, Tony.
So, what's that?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that he is one of the top drivers in NASCAR, and I agree with you. I think his marketability is off the charts. He's a good-looking guy. He's an all-American type of kid, and he's from the Midwest, which I think happens to be the best part of the country.
Whoa!
It is.
You live in Youngstown.
Well, it's the Midwest.
We're not the Midwest.
Yes, we are. We absolutely are the Midwest.
I would differ that people in Hartford don't consider themselves Youngstown. By the way,
well, that's true.
Look at a U.S. map. We are nowhere near the Midwest.
We're on the outskirt edge of the Midwest.
Anthony, people in Trumbull County, when people refer to people crossing our southern border and the problems of people crossing our southern border, we're talking about people from Mahoning County coming into Trumbull.
We're not seeking asylum to go into your county.
Right. So that's where that's where I'm looking for this fence they keep talking about. And one more comment about Blaney, just to put perspective on. He's got 5 wins. He's a baby. He's just getting started in his career, and he's had some situations where he's not the grizzled veteran who can take some more chances and maybe punt some people when they do some things to him they shouldn't have done. That'll come into his 30s and such. He's got 5 wins. Let me give you 2 names real quick. Anybody who's followed NASCAR: Jeremy Mayfield and Alan Kawicki. I think Dave Marcus also. Marcus had 4, I think. These are people who had 4 and 5 wins. A win in NASCAR is like a win on the PGA Tour, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
A win's pretty damn impressive career. He's got 5 now, right up with Alan Kawicki.
Yeah, and Alan Kawicki would have been an unbelievably great driver had he not suffered the fatal helicopter crash.
Well, I think he had a plane.
It was a plane. It was a plane, not a helicopter.
Now, Davey Allison was flying his helicopter when he probably shouldn't have, and he ended up dying in that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of unfortunate,
great drivers.
Yeah, a lot of unfortunate tragedy involving airplanes and helicopters in NASCAR.
But this is great. We got 20. We've got now.
No, absolutely. Yeah, he definitely is. No 2 ways about it.
Hey, no Chief comments today. How'd you like that, Ron? Did I do okay?
Yeah, you did well.
You're getting over it a little bit.
Okay, guys, it's been great talking to you. Have a great day.
All right, see you, Tony. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. Yeah, I was many years
if you
ago.
brought one out, I was going to bring up Mitch Trubisky, so I'm glad that
there you go. Hey, listen, he's a great backup quarterback.
Until he's your starting quarterback.
Well, he won't be. I mean,
I know, but I'm just saying, if something happens to Josh Allen, you're going to be sitting there like, oh, great, we have Mitch Trubisky.
He's better than any backup quarterback in the league. At least I would think. I mean, I can't think of anyone that has a better backup.
It depends who becomes backups, and because there might be some good quarterbacks that become backups because teams go out and get.
I mean, as of right now, I can't think of anyone. But again, we're not playing the season right now. We haven't even gotten through the NFL draft, which is going to be coming up next month, and there will be fans. Limited, but there will be fans in Cleveland.
I think Dan is right. It's going to be limited and select. Like, they're going to have special people, like selected people that go.
Yeah.
Instead of just, hey, come get a ticket.
Yeah. How do you determine a super fan? By what? By the amount of gear the person wears?
Not just super fan. It'll probably be like the sponsors.
Yeah.
Like almost a Super Bowl, like the business people that sponsors, and they'll get to be able to go and enjoy the draft.
Yeah. So Jake from State Farm is going to be able to do this, and schmucks like me and you aren't going to be able to do this.
It's like the Super Bowl. I mean, half of that Super Bowl crowd is just sponsors and families and business owners and everything like that.
Yeah.
Because the normal schlubs in the public really can't afford Super Bowl tickets.
No, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, the season ticket holders do get a lottery to determine how many of them, if you want a ticket to the Super Bowl. I think they go through, when the Bills were in the Super Bowl, my aunt and uncle had season tickets for the Bills. And they had an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, the Norwood game. So they had an opportunity to go to Tampa, but you had to purchase the package and not the tickets. So in other words, the whole package was air flight from Buffalo, Niagara Falls, to Tampa. The hotels, you couldn't go to any hotel. You had to go to the hotel that was part of this package, and they jack up the price to where it was,
So you win a lottery, but you're not paying for the ticket, but they jack up the price on everything else.
Yeah, it's hey, this is how much it is. You have been given an opportunity because we chose your name out of all the season ticket holders. You've been given an opportunity to say yay or nay on this, and the cost is on you. So you're like, yeah, thumbs down on this, unless, of course, you're wealthy as all get out and you want to be there to watch Norwood miss a 48-yard field goal, 47, whatever the hell it is. I really don't care. He went wide right, even though Jim Kelly probably should have done a better job running the 2-minute offense. Just saying.
Let it go, Ron.
I know. I should. I should let it go. It's just, oh, God.
Turn on that Disney Frozen and listen to the song and let it go.
330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business.
Just to go back to NASCAR really quick, because I'm not anywhere near a NASCAR expert, but I will say we said it in jest, but especially pre-Dale Earnhardt, getting in that car, you had to have a lot of daredevil in you.
Oh, I agree with that.
You were literally putting your life on the line.
And you still are.
You still kind of are, but they've really amped up the safety. So, like, pre-Dale Earnhardt, there was a good chance a crash would kill you because they didn't have the neck support or anything.
Yeah.
And he even said that in the couple of months, actually, before he died. He went to the president and said, man, if we don't change things, someone's going to die in one of these cars. And then, unfortunately, he kind of predicted his own death.
Well, he didn't want any part of the neck restraining things because it felt like he said he didn't want to.
He wanted changes to happen.
Yeah,
because he already had like body problems.
Sure.
So he wanted change to happen, and change happened. Unfortunately, a little bit too late for him. But now it's a lot safer than it used to be before him. So especially back in the day, you were really. You had to be a little bit of a daredevil to put yourself in that car.
I think it was a year or so after the accident that killed Dale Earnhardt. I was in Daytona, and it was an off day for us. It was in the summertime. So we went over there, and they gave us a tour of the Daytona Motor Speedway, and it's a phenomenal track. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. And then they're bringing out a car, and they're like, anyone want to jump in and take a ride? I'm like, hell no. That's not happening.
Now almost every NASCAR track has the NASCAR race experience where you get to be in the car. They teach you how to do everything, and then if you want to, you can sit in the driver's seat and drive that NASCAR around the track by yourself. So the state of risk of crashing is a lot less when you're just doing it by yourself. But you can kind of get a good idea of what it takes to really drive a NASCAR car 160, 170 miles an hour.
No way I'd want to do that. Because, from my luck, I would be driving really fast into a turn. All of a sudden, their car goes and up against the wall and violently crashes. And they're like, oh, yeah, my bad. How much is this going to cost? Yeah. That's why I'm not driving these anytime soon.
How much is this going to cost? Well, Mr. Podesta, if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Exactly. Exactly. And the other thing, you're a trained driver and you're sitting shotgun. I don't want to look to my right and see the wall, and I'm this far away from said wall.
I don't know if there's a lot of room to move your neck to the right, though. I mean, all the G's you're taking, you're pretty much stuck in whatever position you're in.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. Even if peripheral vision, I don't want to see a wall this far away, and I'm like, yeah, we're not going to do this.
But I feel like if it was you alone on the track, they probably wouldn't have to get close to the wall.
Well, you would think not, but part of you would want to say,
let's get you some real experience.
Let's get some real experience here and let's have some fun.
That's like flying with Air Force pilots and not doing a barrel roll. Like, you better do a barrel roll. Come on, we're up here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're gonna do this, let's do the barrel roll. Let's go here. I'm gonna pass on that. And it just, I got a whole bunch of respect for those drivers. I mean, you're driving inches away from the guy's back bumper at 190 miles an hour. That's impressive.
You can easily lose about 10 pounds during a NASCAR race. Just because of the... I mean, they weigh him before, they weigh him after. It's been done where you come out of that race and you're 10 pounds lighter.
Well, I know that I would be 10 pounds lighter because of the dump that I'm taking halfway through the race.
Which is just ridiculous. I mean, it sounds really unhealthy, one, because you're losing 10 pounds in about 3 hours.
Well, how many catchers have dropped 10 to 15 pounds? On a hot summer day, you got all that gear on, and catchers will lose 10 to 15 pounds because of they're sweating like crazy.
I don't know if there's that much.
Oh, absolutely.
In one game?
Absolutely. They'll drop some weight because it's if you go back in the old days where they had artificial turf and the turf was cement, if it was 90 degrees, you knew it was going to be triple digits on the field. So here's this poor catcher, and he's got all the gear on, and he's catching for 9 innings. Oh, yeah, you're going to be sweating at least 10 pounds off your body. You're going to have to pretty much drink a gallon of water just to get refreshed again. It's craziness.
Just go into Arizona and get in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah, there you go. After the game is over, just take the uniform off and go out to right center field and swim in the pool.
I feel like after they like the playoff game, the players did that, right? They went into the pool after they won.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I mean, I don't think I would want to do that. I mean, that's kind of that's a little disrespectful. It kind of reminds me of our football team when I was in high school. I don't know if it was Stanton or McDonald. Does McDonald have a swimming pool in their high school?
They used to, because the gym now is built above their swimming pool.
Okay, well then we had to have played McDonald. It was either in 79 or 80. It was up there. We beat them, and our football team decided to jump into their swimming pool.
They just ran into the building and
They ran into the building and jumped into their swimming pool with uniforms on. I was like, what the hell's wrong with you guys? Why would you do something like that?
Because it's funny?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just a little crazy if you ask me. I mean, at least take your shoulder pads off, for God's sake.
No, we're going helmets and everything.
330-886-0813. We're back in the bed.
That's when the pool got closed.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Blakely Tonya.
There's no cleaning after that.
There's going to be no cleaning after this stuff.
No water filter could take care of all that.
Oh, Lord. We're back after this timeout. Stick around.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
That specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-2333 3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austin Town. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig. This just in, the Big Ten really sucks.
Is it bad?
They're getting beat by 10. 14 minutes to go, and 14 and change. Oregon with a 10-point lead on Iowa, 67-57. The Big Ten is down from 9 teams. 9 teams went to the tournament, and they're down to Iowa, Michigan, and Maryland. And Iowa is about
trouble.
14 minutes away from getting beat.
Plenty of time to come back from a 4-possession lead, but you got to start getting some defensive stops.
Yeah, 2-7 matchup. Oregon and you made mention,
it is
Anthony.
Oregon's first game.
Yeah, you made mention that this Oregon team on paper might be one of the better teams.
I think talent-wise, they have the best roster in the Pac-12. I think basketball-wise, USC is a little bit better than them. But I think talent and roster, Oregon's got the best one in the Pac-12, and they didn't play the first-round game, so they might be a little bit more fresh.
All right, so Oregon is beating Iowa 67-57. A little over 14 minutes left in the game. Coming up at about 2:40 today, Oklahoma will be playing Gonzaga. Zags are a 14.5-point favorite in that game. 5:15 this afternoon, Abilene Christian, the 14 seed, will be playing the 11 seed, UCLA Bruins in the East region. UCLA is a 5-point favorite. The West region, number 13, Ohio, taking on number 5, Creighton. Creighton's a 5.5-point favorite. That game's going to start at 6:10 this evening. East region at 7:10 tonight. Michigan playing LSU. The Wolverines are 4.5-point favorite. Wouldn't surprise me if LSU beats them, because LSU has got a really nice team.
Yeah, and LSU played really well in the first round. Once again, don't know how healthy Michigan is. They looked pretty decent in their first round game, but they were playing a 16 seed, so that can be deceiving. LSU's going to give them a game. I would still take Michigan in that, but once again, my bracket knowledge has been definitely in question since I picked Illinois to win it, and they got beat by Loyola. So.
Look, I mean, we all sat back and was in awe of
these brackets are hard to predict. I think sometimes the better team doesn't always win in these because you just have a better day. You have to have one better day, even if the team's better than you.
And the other thing,
look, Illinois is a much more talented and better basketball team than Loyola Chicago, but that day Loyola had a better day.
Yeah,
that's all you have to do in this tournament.
And I'm beginning to understand why everyone kind of shies away from the team that lives by the 3. Because you can't expect that team to go 6 consecutive wins by working
the inside-out game. Because if that's the way they get their threes, then you could say, okay, they can really make a tournament run because first you have to establish the post. But there are some teams that just have straight-up shooters that will go off the dribble and shoot well. It's not going to last all tournament.
By the way, speaking of threes, Oregon back-to-back threes, they have a 16-point lead on Iowa. Thank you very much.
But if you are a team that gets your threes from the inside-out game and establishes the post, that can be sustainable. because defenses have to collapse on your post when you pass it in, and then you get wide open threes.
There's a steal and another basket for Oregon. They lead Iowa 75-57. Can we just finally put the death certificate on the Big Ten and say, here lies the Big Ten? And the key word here is lie, because this conference has been a lie all year long.
Michigan's the last hope.
Well, and Maryland.
Well, Michigan's the last favorite hope.
Yeah, I mean Maryland. If Maryland beats Alabama tonight, then everyone's tournament bracket should be to hell. Here's the other thing: if Gonzaga loses to Oklahoma, everyone's bracket is now in utter chaos.
And I had Iowa in the Final Four, so this is just great. This is great. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, God.
Where's my sword? I need to fall on it.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Honorable Warrior would do in this situation.
Every year I buy into the Big Ten's going to be a fun conference this year.
Note to self, never put 3 teams from the same conference in the Final Four. No matter how good it looks on paper, it's just not going to happen because, my word.
Goodness gracious. How many people had Oral Roberts going to the Sweet 16?
DJ's daughter.
Well, yeah. Of course, did she also have Abilene Christian in the Sweet 16? And I'll tell you what.
She has Abilene Christian going to the Elite Eight.
Well,
so,
I mean,
out of the mouths of babes,
Abilene Christian has a legitimate chance against UCLA.
All these teams, their doors have opened up.
Yeah.
So, hey, what are you going to do?
I would now that my bracket is pretty much toast.
Loyola has an open road.
Yes.
Abilene Christian might have an open road.
I want to see, and I don't think that this is going to happen, but I would love to see 4 double-digit seeds in the Final Four.
I would like to see this too. I don't think there's ever been 2 double-digit seeds in the Final Four before.
Probably not.
There's been a couple that have been 1 double-digit seed to get in. I mean, Loyola was the 11 when they did it. So that we've seen a double-digit seed, but I don't think we've ever seen 2. So 2 would be pretty fun.
Well,
and if it was a two double-digit seeds and then an 8 seed, like Loyola gets in there plus 2 double-digit seeds, that would be even greater.
I mean, okay, let's look at the Sweet 16.
Gonzaga versus 2 double-digit seeds and an 8 seed.
Yeah, the Sweet 16. You got a Midwest regional. Oregon State is the 12. They're going to be playing Loyola, which is the 8th seed. And the other Midwest is going to be number 11 Syracuse against number 2 Houston.
Man, has Syracuse been playing well.
Yeah, they have been.
If I had to pick a team that's playing the best in the tournament, it might just be Syracuse. Who knew? Who would have guessed?
Who knew?
I mean, they're playing phenomenal basketball on both sides.
Crazy. I mean, the South is probably the only somewhat normal because you've got number 1 versus number 5, Baylor and Villanova. All right. Arkansas was my pick to go to the Final Four. They're the 3 seed. They'll be playing Oral Roberts, and they're going to be next on the hit squad because I believe Oral Roberts is now.
Arkansas escaped.
Yeah, they did. You're right. They absolutely did. And I can only look at this and go, yeah, Arkansas is going to wind up getting beat by Oral Roberts, and they'll play Baylor or Villanova for the South Regional Championship.
Oral Roberts in the Elite Eight.
Unbelievable.
That would be wild.
Well, I mean, if we're going to go double-digit Final Four, Oral Roberts is the only double-digit in the South region, and you have 2 teams that are double digits in the Midwest region, Oregon State and Syracuse. Oregon State is playing Loyola. Syracuse is playing Houston. I'm going to tell you right now, Syracuse beats Houston.
Both teams play now that they have a week to prepare now.
Yeah.
A little less than a week, so they can really regroup. And because Houston has the better roster, of course, or the 2 seed. They play good defense. But if Syracuse keeps that momentum and plays just as well as they did this week, then yeah, they could beat Houston in relatively easy fashion.
I don't understand how people all of a sudden freak out about Boeheim's zone defense. I don't get that. I mean, it's a zone defense. I mean, granted, it's a really well-run zone defense, but you can get holes in that defense with ball movement.
He runs. It's not just a 2-3. I mean, it's a 2-3, but it's in different things out of the 2-3. Where this time the middle's going to be up a little bit, or this time we're going to rotate this way and double the wings. Or he has phenomenal ways of making that zone very hard to read.
The middle guy in the back
sometimes
three,
he brings
them up,
and sometimes it's more of a 2-1-2 than a 2-3.
Yeah.
Which I actually agree with, because especially if you're running a 2-3 in a lower level of basketball, this is not call it, but if you're running it in like middle school, high school, you better bring that, because if a guy catches it in the high post at that level, most people aren't going to be able to make a play from the high post. And in JV or middle school, but sometimes in varsity. But sometimes in varsity, even guys that catch in the high post there can't turn around, face you up, and drive to the hoop. So I would bring that guy up a little bit and try to get the pass out of the high post, and play more of a 2-1-2.
See, my whole thing was, if you're playing a 2-3, the middle guy in the 3 on the back is someone that could come up if you pass to a wing and trap the kid on the wing, bringing if the pass is to the left wing, kid that's playing up front on the left immediately goes to the ball along with the back middle guy, and now you've got a trap. Okay, well, where are you going to put the ball? Well, you try to put the ball into the baseline. You still have your two guys in the back part of the zone defense playing more of a help man zone type of defense, where you're not playing a complete zone. But that way you can force some turnovers if you trap the top and you trap the wings. But now if there's ball movement, now you're susceptible to pretty wide open shots.
Syracuse will also double the post.
Yeah.
If you get into the block, they'll bring
someone
down.
And again, the middle guy in the back 3 will scoot over and double the post. Right. So it's a fascinating and a damn good zone defense.
But then their guards rotate so well that the skip pass that's usually available when you double the post, it looks good, and you throw it, and then all of a sudden someone breaks out and steals it for a breakaway layup.
Yeah.
Because normally you teach, okay, if you're doubling the post, skip pass is there against the zone, it'll lead to a wide open bucket. But not against Syracuse. It just doesn't. Most things that you teach against zone don't work because they rotate so well.
They anticipate it an awful lot too.
Right.
It just.
There's a reason that most teams that play a 2-3 zone will call it Syracuse, because Jim Boeheim just kind of made it so popular and proved that it can work at a high level. And before that, it was kind of this, you're in a 2-3 because you're hiding a lot of defensive insecurities. But there are some teams that can play really well 2-3 zone that would play better in the zone than they would in the man.
And a couple of guys that coached against each other yesterday, both members of the 900 club. Boeheim was coaching against Bob Huggins. That was unbelievable.
Huggins looked rough. I mean, he had a lot of the goatee.
Oh, yeah.
He looked like the guy that would sell you like a used car dealership in Texas.
He doesn't normally dress really well when it comes to a tournament. Yeah, he's not one of those guys that's going to show up in a nice suit and tie. He's gonna have a poli on. He's gonna look like a Belichick type of slob, in terms, not slob, but slob dresser, where he's gonna look like, I don't care. I'm not gonna shave. I'm just gonna look really, really rough and gruff and whatever. But there's other folks that are just like, hey, all right, look good, feel good, play good, win good, pay good.
Whoa, pay good?
Yeah, pay good. Well, okay. except you don't get paid. You kids don't get paid. Your education is paid for. By the way, 82-64, a little over 8.5 minutes to go in the game. Oregon is going to get over 100 points in this game.
Jeez.
That's inexcusable. For an NCAA tournament team to give up 100, that's inexcusable. That's bad defense.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah. Well,
3 out of my Final 4 are gone now.
Yeah. Oregon, and we made mention of this, unfortunately, they were able to get a bye into the second round because VCU had some problems with COVID. Kind of makes you wonder, is this going to be the one and only time that COVID rears its ugly head? If I were a betting guy, and I haven't done very well doing it lately, I would say no, this isn't going to be the only time, but hopefully it isn't.
Hopefully it's the only time where it gets to a team is so bad that they have to shut down and not play, because Oklahoma had a player out because of COVID. Georgia Tech obviously did. So the protocols are set where you're not going to be taken down by one player, getting tested positive. So VCU obviously had so many that they couldn't even field a 5-player team.
Yeah,
so that's all you have to do. Or they had, or maybe they did have 5 players they could play, but decided they didn't want to do that and just kind of said,
yeah. Well,
but either way,
it's tough, and
like
hopefully.
Would you play with 5 players even though you knew there was almost no chance you'd win?
It depends on depends on which 5 players.
Let's just say, okay, your starting 5 are all you got. That's it.
I'll take my chances.
You would do it?
I'll take my chances.
What if you had 3 out of your 5 and the other 2 were off the bench?
Depends on how well my bench players. I mean, are we talking deep in the bench?
You're ruining the.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, at some point in time, you got to look at this and go, yeah, we got no shot at this.
Or would you just say, I don't care if we have no shot. It's a tournament game. I'm going to give them the players that opportunity to go out and play.
See, that's a tough.
There are 16 seeds that know they have no shot.
Oh, absolutely.
And especially, I'm sorry, in the women's game. UConn playing High Point. High Point's going out there trying to have fun.
Yeah.
Because you just know you're not gonna beat UConn. It's a foregone conclusion, unless something like unbelievably miraculous happens, or you don't see it a lot. I know UMBC just beat Virginia, so it's definitely possible.
It's possible, but it's improbable.
In the women's game, they have 1-2. Stanford lost, I think, in the 90s. To Harvard, 1 versus 16.
Harvard.
So it's happened once in both men's and women's, but and most of the time, especially in the women's game, it ends up being 40-point, 50-point blowouts.
Yeah.
So you say we got here, we earned our right to be here. We're going to go out, we're going to play, and I would take that even if I was VCU and I said we have 5 players, we only have 3 starters. Our chances are very, very slim to win this game, but we earned our right to be here, and I want to give the kids that can play that opportunity.
I would have done that, but who knows how many kids were healthy. I mean, that for all we know, no one was healthy. I just hope that that's the only scenario in which this happens.
Non-contests, and when we get to the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, where teams are like, can't play, so you're just automatically.
Well, I mean, and let's think about this for a second. What happens if the national championship game is canceled?
Win the national championship?
Yeah, you just won the national championship, but you didn't win the national championship.
Yeah,
it was given to you.
With one game left, like everything else is played, do you think they move the national championship to give that team a chance to get it over the?
You would hope so.
Because I understand you can't move first-round games because you got a schedule to keep.
Yeah.
You can't move second round, But once you get to the championship game,
you would hope so.
And that's probably already been decided. It's probably in their protocols. But I would imagine that they would do their best to move that game a week ahead. That way that team would have at least a chance to clear up any outbreak they have.
You would think. Hopefully we don't get another COVID outbreak by anybody.
Let's just not deal with it.
And let's go from there. 6:40 to go in the game. Oregon with an 84-66 lead on Iowa. And the Big Ten is going to be the Little 10. And the Big Ten is down to the 2. And Michigan and Maryland are...
Wouldn't it be funny if Maryland's the team that goes furthest in the tournament?
Hilarious. I have Michigan in the national championship game. But my roster, or my brackets...
Now it's... Mine is like...
Yeah.
It was bad, and now it's gone really, really worse. Because, like I said, Iowa was in my Final Four.
I'm on Team Chaos
Iowa
now.
was in your Final Four. No, you had Gonzaga beating Iowa.
Yeah. Yeah.
You couldn't do it. You couldn't.
I couldn't pull the trigger.
But you thought Iowa could beat you.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, I thought Iowa had a chance. And because I was drinking the Big Ten Kool-Aid, and as it turns out, the Big Ten is the most overrated conference this year. And
see, I don't like saying that because I put more stock in the fact that those Big Ten schools were good for 3 months. I'm not going to take anything away from the Big Ten schools because they had one bad game in a tournament, and all of a sudden the Big Ten sucks because they didn't play well in the tournament. You have one bad night in this tournament setup, you're out.
No, you're right.
And I think Illinois, especially Purdue, Ohio State, Michigan, hands down the best conference in basketball, despite this tournament lack of showing up, whatever it may be. It doesn't take away from the fact that they went 3 months dominating. Now, dominating each other, I get it, but they even dominated before the Big Ten play started. So I don't take anything away.
But it's kind of like...
and I do this with the bowl games, too. Like, okay, oh, man, the SEC sucked in the bowl games. They must be a sucky... No, come on. You put a lot of stock in one game. And I think our sports culture falls into that trap a little bit.
Well,
I put more respect on being able to sustain it for 3 months and 4 months or whatever the season is. That's something that you really hang your hat on. Like, if you won the Big Ten this year, you have something that Illinois did. So you really did something really impressive.
Well, this is kind of the equivalent, somewhat. It's kind of the equivalent of what we just saw with the baseball season, where you played against your division and the division opposite you in the other league. So if you're in the Central Division, you feasted on your division and the division opposite you in the National League Central. And then you went outside your division and laid an egg in the playoffs. It's like, okay. Now, the difference is this wasn't a one-game thing. You had a best-of-3 series, and you had an opportunity to make a statement, and you crapped on yourself. So it's kind of sort of the same thing, only you had to get beat twice in order to lose, where in this tournament you only have to get beat once. My whole argument with what you're saying is, okay, I can see 1 or 2 teams in this conference laying an egg in one particular night. The fact that we are now on the verge of seeing 7 teams in the best conference in college basketball not get out of the second round of the tournament, that's a pattern. That's not a good pattern.
Yeah.
That just isn't. All right, Bob Hannon coming up next. We'll talk YSU football.
It seems like it happens to the ACC a lot too. When like the years where they're head and shoulders the best conference in basketball, they don't show up in the tournament.
Iowa's now losing by 20. Under 6 minutes to go in the game, 86-66.
Props to Oregon for not stepping off the gas at all.
Yeah, quack.
Quack, man.
Wow,
it's the quack attack.
Yeah, they're laying the smackdown on the Hawkeyes.
And the Hawkeyes are getting ducked.
Yeah. Duck you, Iowa. We're back in a bit. Stick around.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy-efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air,
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Save more during the Extra Mile Auto Show with employee pricing for everyone on some of our most popular models. Plus, get an additional $1,000 on the value of your trade. Schedule a test drive today to experience the 2021 lineup for yourself.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Joining us as he does every Monday during football season. And yes, it's football. We're in the spring, but by God, it's football in the Mahoning Valley. Bob Hannon, the voice of the YSU football Penguins, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Bob, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. Ron, yourself?
I'm doing great. What a win for Coach Phillips. First win in the Doug Phillips era, and a really impressive performance by the Penguins as they jumped all over South Dakota, did not give them an opportunity to breathe, and they wound up beating South Dakota 28-10 on a gorgeous day for football. A scaled-down homecoming and a fantastic performance by the Penguins.
You know, Ron, a couple things to look at, obviously. The way YSU was able to run the football and shut down the run, over 300 yards on the ground, and didn't let, South Dakota do anything. I remember that game in 19 when they won 56-21. They rushed against us for over 300 yards, and Kai Henry had 130. So it was a complete flip of the script from 2019 for YSU, and a big win. Really wasn't even as close as 28-10. Felt like it was never in doubt.
Yeah, and when you look, I mean, we've been talking every week about the improvement, but now the kids and the players really get to validate the hard work and really get to see the results, and they don't have to hang their head on a loss and say, well, we played well. Now you can say you worked hard, you played well, and you got to win. How big is that for this program in the stage that it is in right now?
Well, I think we talked last Monday, Anthony, and we felt they were close. It was so close after South Dakota State and played Southern Illinois tough. I think the program's in good shape. Someone might be a skeptic, go, well, you're 1-4, but it is a rebuild, and it's not going to happen quickly. But I think what can happen quickly is a couple more wins this year, and not out of the question 3 wins. And I don't think any of us thought maybe after the first 2 games that we could see this team finish 4-4 and beat North Dakota, but I think it's within reason. I think the other reason it's in good shape is that you have a very, I think, talented, energetic, ambitious coaching staff that's going to recruit. I think they're good coaches as well, and a lot of the talent's young. It's not like we're looking at a team that in a year is going to graduate everybody, and it seems like every time they substitute, whether it be the D-line or offensive line, it's young talent. So these guys are going to be around for a while. And Coach Phillips has talked a lot about linemen take a while to develop and get stronger, so you would think they're going to get better and better. So I think we're not even close to seeing how good this team's going to be next fall. And I think the next year is, I think, when you take the big leap. But I know that's a ways off. But I think that's when you're talking a team that, could make a run at a conference championship.
Bob, I was so impressed by 2 of the linebackers for this Penguin team, the G&G boys, Griffin Hoke and Grant Dixon. The interception that Dixon made was athletic as all get out. And Griffin Hoke getting 2 sacks, 9 tackles. This linebacking core is impressive.
Yeah, I agree, Ron. And we only play 2. We play that different technique of defense, a 4, 2, and 5 in the secondary, so there's only 2 there most of the time. They seem like they're in there every play. So, it came from different backgrounds. Griffin Hoke came here as a freshman, recruited by Bo Pelini right out of the Columbus area. And then Dixon came as a senior, transfer from Marist. Hopefully he'll come back next year. But they look similar in style of play. I think they both seem to be always in good position. But you're right. I think Dixon's been such a surprise and an unknown because we didn't know anything about him as a mid-year transfer. Of the 11 mid-year transfers, he's made the greatest impact. Always seems to be in the right spot. He did on the interception. He was part of that deflection at South Dakota State that they would have won the game for us. They're good players. They seem to be tough, hard-nosed. They're good against the run. Some linebackers, as you know, are good against the pass and not the run, or vice versa. They seem to be good against both, and it's going to be fun to watch them the rest of the year, and then hopefully into next year. That's, being that we can't really get close to the players because of COVID, at some point, I'd like to know what Grant Dixon's thoughts are. Comes from Marist, grew up in North Jersey, is a senior, has graduated. I mean, does he have desire to come back and play another year next fall? I hope he does, because I think he could really help us.
I'm very interested in seeing what this week looks like, because with these rebuild programs, one thing you have to learn is how to bounce back from the disappointment, how to bounce back from results that don't go your way. And then once you do that, you also have to learn how to handle success. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this team handles their first win, handles success, and handles the winning. How do you think this week is going to look a little bit differently when the team gets to handle a little bit of props on the back, a little bit of success now that they've gotten their first win?
Well, I think it'll be all positive. I think the way they rebounded after such a devastating loss to South Dakota State showed a lot about them. I think they know they really haven't done all that much yet with one win. But if you can beat North Dakota, a top 10 team, coming in here, they were ranked second last week. I haven't seen the poll today. It'll probably be somewhere between 4 and 8. To take on a team that's tied for the conference lead, I think it'll just be a carryover this week. And, Anthony, that's a good question. I think on the other side, too, how does North Dakota rebound after getting blown out by North Dakota State? North Dakota was picked 7th in the preseason. Youngstown State was picked 8th, not much expectation. Now, all of a sudden, Youngstown State's coming on, and then on the other side, North Dakota trying to bounce back after a loss and get back in the win column. It's a new team in our conference, a team we haven't seen. So I think for both teams, how does each team handle one success after last week, and then for North Dakota, how do they rebound after being dominated? North Dakota State just ran the football right down their throat. So we like to run it too. So maybe there's some things that we look at there that we're going to be able to do to them, much like North Dakota State did.
Bob Hannon, the voice of the YSU football Penguins, joining us every Monday at this time on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. It's the running department that is turning into the strength for the offensive line. I can't even say enough about how this unit had to grow up, literally grow up overnight. And they have improved exponentially from week 1 to today. And in doing so, the Penguins finally have their running game going. Jaleel McLaughlin now has 3 100-plus yard performances, and he looks to be the feature back of the future for this team. And Mark Wade is literally growing up as well. He made some plays on Saturday that you would not normally see a redshirt freshman make.
Ron, as far as the offensive line, played much of the game without Dan Becker, who's regarded as our best or at least most experienced, and it didn't even look like we missed him, although we did get him back this week. So that line has improved dramatically, and again, it's sophomore, redshirt, freshman, a lot of young talent up there as well. So they are the group that's made the most improvement. Obviously, Jaleel's running well, but you need that blocking up front. And Wade and Christian Turner, they've all put up great yards per carry. Last week, I think they were all averaging about 5 yards per carry or better. And then I agree with you with Wade. Early on, we came out and he threw a beautiful touchdown pass to Christian Turner. I think he's getting better. Didn't throw much in the second half because we had the big lead. He missed the one. I'd have liked to have seen him hit Ogletree at the goal line. That was a great call. We faked a run and tight end broke free, into the end zone. We ended up getting a touchdown out of it anyway. But I think Wade has gotten better. He really said he wanted to eliminate those mistakes. The 2 interceptions at South Dakota State really bothered him. So if he only throws for maybe 100 yards and he rushes for 60 or 70, I think it's really important that it turns out that he has 1 or 2 touchdowns or maybe 1 and no interceptions. And, I did talk to Mark briefly, and he said that's what he needs to do better. He has to eliminate those mistakes. Those 2 picks against South Dakota State really bothered him.
And you said it a little bit earlier, you don't get to get as close to the program as you would in a normal year. You can't go to practices. You can't, be as close to the program as you would. So as a broadcaster, what's that like when, you still want to be as prepared as possible for the game, but you're not able to do some of the things you would do in a normal year to prepare and to get as much knowledge as you can about the team?
really odd, especially before the season began. I mean, there was no access to players and coaches other than Coach Phillips because everybody was on edge about COVID and, keeping you at a distance. It's getting a little better with the coaches, especially on road trips, that you're around them in the hotel, in the lobby, you get to spend some time. What does help me is tonight I host the Penguin Playbook from 6 till 7, so we always have a player and an assistant coach on. Getting to know linebacker coach Brian Nardo, who grew up in a coaching family, and Ashton Bodie, who comes on tonight, a former Buckeye. That helps. Troy Rothenbuehler was a great interview, the offensive coordinator. Part of the reason he came home, his wife's from Camel. I mean, it was good insight to learn that I think she called that shot, which I thought was pretty funny. But the players' access is limited, maybe a little bit on a bus ride back to the airport. I did sit beside Mark Wade in North Dakota after that loss, going back to the airport, and he hadn't been playing much then, so I think he's a little more excited now that he's getting playing time. But you do the best you can. The thing about Coach Phillips, he does open up and share with you as much as he can, but limited the players, finding out what brought him here, what interests them. Monday night has helped, but we only have one guy on per Monday night, so it's been a bit limited.
Listen, I know that COVID has just been a horrible, horrible thing in the sports world, let alone in everyone's personal life. I'm sure everyone has either known someone or has family that has passed away from this god-awful virus. And, I always want to try to have a glass half full. And for this particular thing, I think that if there is anything good about what we're doing right now, is the fact that playing spring football with half of your roster, either true freshmen or redshirt freshmen, playing spring football and getting an opportunity to play against other teams might very well be the biggest help down the road for this football program. And I think that if there is one bright spot in this god-awful year plus that we've had with COVID, that might be it for the YSU football team.
Well, I think it's really helped YSU and probably helped Missouri State, who's 3-1. And I don't think anybody thought Missouri State would be 3-1. I mean, I think new coaches, you need to see these guys in action, need to see what they can do with the lights on and how they perform. So maybe for some of the better teams, they will tell you it wasn't as necessary to play this spring. But I really believe it's helped those teams with new coaches and new staff and a lot of new players. And Doug Phillips has said you can only do so much with 15 spring practices beating on each other. And it gets hard to tell guys, you're not prepping for a game until next September, which would have been 2 full seasons without a game. So I think for YSU, this has been great. Ron, I don't know if you've seen today, and Anthony, maybe you have, that Illinois State has thrown in the towel. They're not going to complete the season. Now, if what I've read is accurate, I think it's a very cowardly move. Illinois State is not abandoning the season because of COVID. They say there are too many injuries. And that's unfair to the other teams that you're supposed to play and might be fighting for a playoff. And they're going to call the games a draw, no contest, so it's not a forfeit. And that could potentially deny someone a playoff berth. I think if Illinois State was 3-1 instead of 1-3, this wouldn't have happened. And it's a team that was ranked 7th. It's been a major disappointment. Now, I know Indiana State decided not to play before the year began, and that's their decision. But I think once you make a commitment to play a season, I think you need to follow through. And I think it's very disappointing. And I hope the Missouri Valley Conference comes up with some kind of punishment. I just think it's the wrong message to send that you're going to bail on a season because of injuries.
Well, here's the thing. Illinois State's opponent this week was supposed to have been South Dakota State. South Dakota State is already on the bubble because they had lost a couple of times, or they had lost once earlier in the season. So they were potentially on the bubble, depending on the outcome of that game. So I'm with you. I think that if it costs one of our teams in this conference a playoff spot, that's not going to be a very popular team in the fall.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah, it could. When we've talked, I think the most would be 3. That might be a stretch. We'll get 2 teams in. So right now it would be a battle of North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and I guess Missouri State 3-1. Oh, I think Missouri State. I don't think they're going to be able to hold and hang in there and make that happen. So I do feel good about what's going on with the teams in the league and the competition. And I think whoever gets in the playoffs, they're going to do really, really well. I think whoever gets in will make a deep run, but it's just unfair. And now you have a week off. It's like a bye, so you get in that flow of playing 8 games. I just don't think it's right.
And you and Ron did a great job of pointing out all the positives of playing in the spring and all the things it's going to do for this program. But the also reality is it's a really short recovery time playing a spring schedule and then getting ready for the fall schedule to start a couple months later. Are there any more clear ideas of what the plan will be to recruit and to kind of regroup and get ready for that fall with not a lot of time to recover after the spring?
Well, that's a good question. I didn't really talk to Coach Phillips about that. I think it'll be different than any other coming off of spring. I think you want to make sure you get your players rested and healthy. Probably start back in late July and give them a period of time off. A lot will probably work out on their own to get ready. I'm really not sure how that plan is going to look. I know the plan is to play 10 games, not 11. We originally had McNeese State coming. They decided not to come and play, and Ron Strollo was good with that. He understands that it was just going to cost them a lot of money. So Ron felt that let's just play 10, coming off 8 games now, not try to force an 11th game, and go from there. So we'll have a 10-game schedule next year, but I don't know what May and June are going to look like. But come July, late July, these guys will be back in training camp getting ready for an opener and then a trip to Michigan State. So we do have an FBS opponent back on the schedule next year. I
got to believe that you're just going to, as soon as the season is over, look, the pads are taken away from you, wait until August to get back into this, and let's go from there. Bob, I'm looking at the schedule. 2 teams that are currently in pretty good position, North Dakota and South Dakota State, will be one less game on their schedule. Illinois State was to have played South Dakota State this week. Illinois State was to have closed out the season against North Dakota. So this game between YSU and North Dakota has all kinds of playoff implications on North Dakota, because if the Penguins were to beat them, North Dakota only has 1 game left, and it's against Missouri State. So, a Penguin win on Saturday could very well knock North Dakota out of the playoffs, given the fact they are not going to play 8 games. They're only going to play 7.
Ron, you're right. I know I think it's April 3rd, North Dakota State, South Dakota State play. So one of them is going to get another loss. But it could come down to that unless the playoff committee, if it ends that way, takes the easy way out and takes all 3, because all 3 probably are good enough. But it could come down if North Dakota doesn't get in. If they don't beat YSU, that could be the game that will eliminate them, because they're going to lose a head-to-head to North Dakota State. So that's already going to be something that's going to play against them.
When you, what about this? A little bit of updated teams outside the Missouri Valley Conference that are really playing well and doing a good job that maybe come playoff time we might have to keep our eyes on. And James Madison still doing what they do best.
Yeah, James Madison has been winning. They haven't been as impressive as they've been maybe in the past. They've been winning, but some of their games are closer than you would think. I'm a little surprised at some of the scores. I think it was Robert Morris they had a battle with a while back, but they're still winning. They're undefeated. Weber State's been winning. A couple of the other teams looking at records. Jacksonville State, who we played a few years ago in the playoffs, is ranked in the top 10. Delaware, again, limited games. Delaware's only had, a few games. They've only played 2. So these are some of the traditional teams that you see. I know Villanova is only 1-1, but they were ranked 16th. So some of these teams are struggling to get in games because of COVID. But I would think outside of the conference, without a doubt, that James Madison would be the team that would be your biggest concern. And I think Weber State's really good. I think they could be a team that maybe could cause some trouble. And I've seen some of the scores of Sam Houston as well. They've won impressively. So those are some of the teams that we don't see or might not see outside of the conference that maybe could make a deep run in the playoffs. Bob, always a pleasure. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Thanks, guys. See you then. Have a great week. See you. Bob Hannon, the voice of the YSU football Penguins. To kind of go to the point of where Bob was going with Illinois State,
North Dakota State had already beaten Illinois State. Their schedule is going to be interesting. They're going to play the team that YSU just beat in South Dakota, and then they're going to play a home game against South Dakota State, and then they're going to go to the Unidome to play Northern Iowa. North Dakota is down one game. They're now going to finish with Missouri State. They play YSU this Saturday, and then they're going to have a home game with Missouri State. They were supposed to close out the season against Illinois State. That game is going to get canceled. South Dakota State was to have played a home game against Illinois State this week. That's been canceled. Their schedule now is down to 2 games left at North Dakota State and home to South Dakota. So we might get jobbed out of one of our conference teams because of what Illinois State did.
Yeah, and like Hannon said, that's not going to be a popular decision come the fall when they have to play some of these teams. If they play a team like South Dakota State that gets stunned out of a playoff spot because they lost a game, that's going to be an ugly game. That's going to be a real ugly game.
Yeah, no question about that. By the way, speaking of ugly,
I don't know if because the players aren't making that decision. So it's like the coaches might have some words before, but then it's like, are the players going to get chippy? Because really, Illinois State players have no control over whether or not they're going to play or not. That's what's really sad. Is I bet there was no taking into account what the players wanted to do. I bet they had no control over that decision whatsoever.
And you kind of wonder if you're going to have a mutiny on your hands with a lot of these kids saying, oh, you don't want us to play the rest of the spring? I'm out of here. I don't want to be a part of a program that's going to do that to me.
Kind of seems like the quitting on your team message from the coach.
Yeah. Speaking of quitting, there was no quitting in the tournament, but the Big Ten loses another team. Gee, what a shock. Oregon over Iowa today, 95-80.
Well, they didn't get to 100.
Yeah, they didn't get to 100. I guess Oregon had mercy on the Hawkeyes. Let's go to Champ. Champ, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on, brother?
Good afternoon. How are you gentlemen doing?
Doing well.
Well, let me add a little tidbit to what you just talked about another Big Ten team going down, to put it in perspective. Now, I'm counting these first 4 records, but the Big Ten's overall record now is 7-7. The Pac-12 is 8-0.
Okay.
That's stunning to me.
Yeah, they're having an unbelievable tournament. There's no question.
Right. And I don't remember anyone talking about the Pac-12. I think we don't talk about them because they're so bad in football, we forget about basketball. Yeah. But anyways, but yeah, interesting. But you know what? I'm not going to rank on the Big Ten because, and Anthony made a great point. The ACC has been the top basketball conference usually every year, but this year it's the Big Ten. But I remember the year they had like 10 teams, and they were all dropping like flies. I think that they beat each other up. But also, sometimes these teams come in, when you're coming from the ACC, there's an extra maybe motivation for some of these schools to beat them. But I will remind you this is bizarre too. Look at the droughts of these major conferences. We talk about how football is dominated by the SEC, but the Pac-12, the last time the Pac-12 won its national championship was 1997, Arizona. The last time the Big Ten won a championship in basketball was 2000. The last time the Big 12 won a championship was 2008, Kansas. And the last time the SEC won a basketball was 2012 Kentucky. So it's like, well, who's winning all these championships? Well, the ACC's won 5 of the last 11, but the Big East Olds won 2 and the Big East News won 2. So the power conferences aren't really dominating this tournament. They're being dominated by basically ACC and some of these other Big East and the AAC now.
You look at a team like Villanova that's not in a Power 5 conference per se, but they're a basketball contender. There's a lot of schools in basketball that are really good programs that aren't in big Power 5 conferences. You can throw UConn in there, too, because they're usually a pretty good men's team, even though they lost this year in the first round.
But wouldn't we consider the Big East to be a power conference in basketball?
UConn's in the American.
No, I get that.
Not the Big East.
All right. But wouldn't we consider
the Big East actually had 14 teams. They had 14 teams drop out and 13 teams join. The Big East totally changed over.
Right.
That's why I label it old and new, but the old was pretty good, and the new one's pretty good too. So Not as good as the old one, obviously.
No.
Remember, all those teams went the ACC. That's why the ACC is good. All those Big East teams like Boston College and Notre Dame and Pitt and Syracuse and Louisville, they all went down. They were in the Big East. They went down to the ACC.
Yeah, and they've done pretty well for themselves.
They made that conference a bigger gauntlet than it was before. The only quality basketball program the ACC lost in that deal was Maryland, who went up to the Big Ten.
I'd like to talk something too about this tournament. Okay, and I'm not going to talk about the teams, anything else. I basically have had, as Ron knows, I have scrapbooks of every sport, but until recently, I really had nothing on college basketball. I thought, wow, and I really couldn't find like a book about a college basketball tournament. So I started my own stuff, and I tell you, it's built up. But I found a lot of interesting things. So I decided to do a bracket analysis based on the seed, because since 1985. This tournament has been 64 to 68 teams, 1 through 16 seeds. Same procedure. They have the 30 automatic bids, and they have the at-large, and it's the same. It's been the same system for 35 years. So I thought I could probably use the seeding process to see exactly what is a good seed and what is a bad seed. And let's throw out the 16, 15, and 14 seeds, because they usually don't get that far. They win early rounds. But the bottom line is this. When I looked at this statistical study, here's the bottom line. The success of your school in this tourney, to survive and advance, has a lot to do with the seed you have been assigned. And here's the key. The longer you can avoid the number one seed, the better off you are. Because the one thing I found about this tournament, it has been dominated by number one seeds. Dominated. And I'll give you an example of that. If you look at when the first round, the number one seed plays the 16th seed. Okay? Now, obviously, that record is 1 win and 143 losses. That's what the 16. Only one time is that they've ever beat the number one seed, and that was that Maryland team. They did, ironically, to Virginia the year before they won the national championship. But now you go to the second round. Now the number one seed in the second round plays the number 8 seed or the number 9 seed, and the number one seed versus, and these are records from 1985. The number one seed against the number 8 seed in the second round is 55-14. The number one seed versus the number 9 seed is 66-6. So the worst seed in this tournament, besides the really like 16, 15, 14, the worst seed to get is the number 9 seed. But why is that? Because they have to flat out play that number one seed right off the bat, and they're 6-66. And keep in mind,
don't say that number. Don't say that number.
Yeah, well.
6-6. Oh, I almost said it. I almost said it not to say it. Oh.
But I'll prove your point. I also keep track of the seeds when they're in the Sweet 16 and the seeds when they're in the Elite Eights. And this is going to shock you, but this is the Sweet 16 since they started seeding these things. Now, obviously, the 120, 89, I'm going through it. When you get down to number 6 seeds, 42 of them have been to Sweet 16. The 7th seed, 27. The 8th seed, 13. The 9th seed, only 7. And then 10 is 23 times, 11 is 22 times, and 12 is 21 times. The worst seed in this tournament is the 9th seed, because they have to play right off the bat. They have to play 8 and 9. They actually have a 73-71 advantage. Where they get killed is when they go to the next round against the number one seed. They get totally annihilated. And that's why the worst seed in this tournament, besides the real high ones, is the 9th seed, because they right off the bat have to play against the 8th seed, and they have to go right against the number one seed. Now, the 8th seed has done much better against the number one seed, but the 9th seed have not. So it's by far the worst seed to get in this tournament when you think about it.
And you could argue the best seed above, the high seeds to get is the 12, because you have a very competitive. 12-5 is always competitive for some reason.
Right.
And then you go and you beat the 5 seed. You only have 1 seed up in the next round. You play a 4 seed if the 4 seed wins.
Right. And
so your route to the Sweet 16 is pretty open if you win that first round game.
But here's the point I'll make about the 12. I talk about how that you can, as long as you avoid the number one seed, you're okay. But you know what happens in round 3? That's when the 12th seeds play the number one seed. And guess what the 12th seed record against the number one seed is in this tournament in the last 35 years?
I'm going to guess that you've probably won 2 or 3 games.
20-0. They have never lost. The number one seed has never lost to the number 12. That's why the number 12 is always the hottest seed in the first 2 rounds, but they disappear. Why? Because they're usually playing the number one seed in that 3rd round. That's when they get. That's the point. The longer you avoid the number one seed, the better off you are in this tournament. There's one exception. The number 2 seed has a winning record over the number 1 seed as you get later into the tournament, which is kind of weird to me.
That's because they try to make the 1 seeds route as easy as possible. That way, you want the 1 seeds in the Final Four in a perfect world.
But I have a record of every seed against every other seed, and I bet the gamblers would love this. But through every round, so for example, the number 9 seed versus number 3 seed. Okay, that's in round 3. It's happened only one time. The 9 seed won that game. They're 1-0 against 12 seed. But I have every one of these, and based on these percentages, that's how I pick the tournament usually. The brackets. Don't pick any 9 seeds. They're the worst seed to pick. Besides 16 and 15 and 14.
So are you telling me that your bracket is still in pretty good shape?
No, here's the problem with my bracket. I picked a lot of the double-digit upsets, but I also had Illinois in the Final Four. I had Ohio State going far, but I picked. It's funny because I'm in a pool where you have a split pot. The overall champion wins, but also the team that has the most points, and points is based on when you win a game, you get that number of seed points you have. So you got 13 points for 1 win. So I had 8 teams. All my teams lost in the first round except for 2. I had Ohio U as my second pick, and my 5th pick, even though I had Ohio State previously picked, I picked what's the name of the school that they lost to? I picked Oral Roberts. That's 15 points. I only have 2 teams left. I have Ohio U and Oral Roberts. But I have 30 points from Oral Roberts and 13 from OU. I'm in second place points-wise. So that's why we do. That's why it makes it interesting. Because when you draft like 15, 16, 14 teams and you're picking a champion, those are useless picks. But when you put in this added feature, a split pot where you take the points of the seed, that makes it very interesting.
All right. Interesting.
Speaking of high seeds, the women's game, 13-seeded Wright State, who we see a lot of against Youngstown State. They have a 26-15 lead over the 4-seed Arkansas in the second quarter.
I'm going to tell you right now, Wright State is going to shock a lot is that is a fun team to watch.
Angel Baker already has 10 points, and Wright State off to a good start.
Yeah, Coach Merriweather is she knows what she's doing, and that team can lay down some serious defense. That's a sexy pick to go into the Sweet 16, even though they're the 13 seed. And they would have to. Who would they have to play in the next round? The winner of 5-12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Wright State has a legitimate chance if they can hold this lead and get the upset. I think they have a legitimate chance to get into the Sweet 16. That's a very good basketball team. I was impressed when I saw them earlier in the year taking on the YSU women. I think that was the YSU women's first 2 games.
Yeah, you opened the season against the best team in the
Yeah, and they played some really, really good defense. I was impressed.
I'm getting a little nervous for Ohio's game tonight, but I got to watch the whole thing. I don't know if you guys caught any of that game, but very impressed with the point guard. It's just he doesn't look like a basketball player to me, but he has tremendous skills as you saw.
And names escape me because I've seen so much basketball in the last couple of days.
Jason Preston.
The Preston, he's not the point. The Sears is the point guard, but Preston put the team on his back. He went from a high school bench warmer to now he was hitting clutch free throws in the tournament.
Well, he's a tremendous passer. I've watched him all season long, but he has every shot in the book. He posts up. And he never gets a shot block. He shoots threes. I mean, he's just unbelievable. When you look at him, it looks like a kid be riding up your street, chewing bubblegum on a bicycle. He looks like he's in 7th grade.
Ron, he started 1 game in high school, and it was senior night. It's the only game he ever started in high school.
Yeah. Well, he actually was a big Pistons fan. His mother was a huge basketball fan. She passed away when he was a junior in high school, but she was a Piston fan, and he was a Piston blogger. I read that. I don't know what that means exactly, but he used to blog for the Detroit Pistons when he was in high school. They were a huge Piston fan.
You'd write like your opinions on blogging is like journalism, except you're not picked up by a major website.
And you're not getting paid.
Probably not getting paid.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but love the tournament. I look at that football playoff system for years. How it rubs me the wrong way. And I look at the way they do this basketball thing. It's wonderful. And what we love about this basketball is the first 2 rounds. And football doesn't want to do that. They don't want to share any of their revenue. They don't want any of these mid-majors to be involved in anything. So that's why the basketball thing, it's a great tournament. And it leads right into baseball in spring. That's why I love it. And we missed it last year, but I'm glad to have it back. Hopefully they can finish.
Yeah, hopefully we won't get any more craziness with COVID and just have a safe tournament from here on out and don't have any more teams eliminated.
Well, if OU wins tonight, okay, they will have their 5th win as a double-digit seed in this tournament, which would be the most of all time.
Yeah, and yet we have never had multiple double digits in the
never.
Final Four.
No, and there's only been 5. Only 5 have made it ever.
It would be
I think
OU's
4 11s and 1 10.
OU's second trip to the Sweet 16 since 2014.
Well, 2012 is when they made it to they made it to the Sweet 16, and in 2010 they upset Georgetown, but they upset Michigan, they upset obviously Virginia, but that Virginia game, boy, I was getting nervous because that was such a slow-paced game. It was like, oh my God, I didn't like it, but OU, give them credit, they hung in there.
Yeah, and how about that? Virginia has a national championship sandwiched between 2 first-round losses.
Yeah, they're the defending champs. We forget that.
Go figure.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, anyways, I'm going to get ready here for the Bobcats. Hopefully, they can win tonight, and that would be sweet. But most of this, I think they only have one senior on this team, by the way.
Oh, you?
Oh
Yeah,
my!
No, it's Ron. You're
Oh
ruining
yeah. Okay. Oh my! Or,
you owe you owe me a lot.
Well, yeah. There you go. There you go. I'll give you the club. Always a pleasure, Champ.
Okay, guys, take care.
All right, see ya. And Champ provided me with the double-digit seeds that have gone to the Final Four, 1986.
Okay, after you get into like my generation, let me see if I can name a couple.
Okay, 1986, LSU was number 11. Since then, we have had 4 other teams.
4.
Beginning in 2006.
Oh, okay, so I might get George Mason.
George Mason in 2006.
Loyola, because they were 11.
In 2018.
So there's 2
George
more.
Mason was an 11 in 2006. Loyola Chicago was an 11 seed in 2018.
2 more.
There's 2 more.
I want to say Butler, but I think they were higher than a double digit.
Yeah, no, Butler was not one of the teams. I'd give you a hint, but I think that it would pretty much it would be a giveaway if I gave you the hint. It would be an easy giveaway.
Give it to me anyway. I think 2 out of 4 is pretty good on my book.
The team that just got eliminated due to COVID.
Oh,
2011 VCU was number 11, and in 2017 I wouldn't have expected this team to be a double-digit seed. Syracuse. They were number 10.
See, that makes you forget, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So
they might do it again.
Here we are 4 years later, and Syracuse might be traveling back to the scene of the crime.
I think, mid-majors that are seeds that are like 8 and lower are always dangerous. And Syracuse kind of proven that. Not mid-majors, Power 5 teams.
Yeah. Well, again, you have... Oklahoma is underway against Gonzaga.
Wright State has pushed the lead to 14, by the way.
Outstanding. This is early. I don't want anyone freaking out. 2 minutes into the game, Oklahoma has an 8-4 lead on Gonzaga.
Upset.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't.
No,
when do you put someone on upset alert?
It depends what the lead is. I mean, like Iowa was on upset alert down 10.5.
Iowa was on upset alert after the national anthem. Let's be honest here.
If you're down 10.5, you're kind of on upset alert. I think if you're, if the lead is like more than 5, maybe wait until there's 2 minutes or 3 minutes left in the game. If it's like 10-5, halftime to midway through the second half, and then of course if some miraculous reason the lower seed is just blowing out the team, it can be upset alert really quick. I mean, if you're down 33-15 with 8 minutes left in the half, you're on upset alert. I don't care.
Okay. Oklahoma now has a 12-4 lead on Gonzaga.
Like Arkansas is on upset alert right now because they're 33-19 in the second quarter. That's a big enough lead where it's going to take them a minute to get back into this game.
Yeah.
Even if they do it. So they're on upset alert.
Let me ask you, because the women got halves and turned it into 10-minute quarters.
The only thing I don't like about it is they took away the one-on-ones.
Okay.
That's the only thing I don't like about that rule, because they have 5 fouls in a quarter, and as soon as you get to 5 fouls, you're in a double bonus. And I think the 1-and-1s are so important, especially down the stretch of a game. That's the only thing I don't like about that rule change, is they got rid of the 1-1s.
Let me.
I would have kept the fouls in the half. You
Yeah.
still have the 4 quarters, but you have the fouls in a half.
Okay, either that or 5 fouls. You're going to 1-and-1. If you get to 7 fouls in a quarter, you're shooting 2 free throws.
I get why they did 5-5, because you're 10.5. You're in the double bonus, so it makes sense at 5 and a half.
And I get that. I get that.
So I would just say, hey, you're in this half. You have 7 fouls. You're in the bonus, and then if you get to 10 fouls, you're in the double bonus. I also like how you can extend to the half court if you call a timeout.
No, I absolutely
can't
love
do that in the men's game. I think it's a useful tool in the women's game.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that they should be able to do that in the men's game. By the way, but
not in high school.
And I am a big time proponent of getting rid of the 20-minute clock and going 10-minute quarters.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have halves in junior high basketball. You don't have halves in high school basketball, and you don't have halves in the NBA. But somewhere in college ball, they decided, we're going to play 20-minute halves. Makes no sense. That has always been a pet peeve. Just play the damn game in 10-minute quarters, and I'm with you. 7 fouls and a half, you're going to the free throw line. 10 fouls, you're getting a double bonus. Or if you're so hell bent on doing the 5 fouls, then 5 fouls in a quarter, you're in the 1-and-1. 7 fouls in a quarter, now you're shooting 2 free throws.
The women's game has the restriction circle widened a little bit, which is good as well, because you see a lot more dribble drives that you have to go a little bit deeper into the key for the women's game. So to extend that restriction circle a little bit more than the men, I think was a smart move on the women's rule committee too.
A little bit of an update in the West Regional second round game. Under 16 minutes to go in the first half. Oklahoma with a 16-12 lead on Gonzaga. This is not the pace I would want to play if I were Oklahoma.
No, well, yeah, I was about to say Gonzaga wants to score a lot, and they want to run.
And right now, Oklahoma's matching them and exceeding them, but I don't know if Oklahoma can do that for 40 minutes. I'll be curious to see if they can, but in this crazy tournament, I want Oklahoma to win now because I want to see chaos all over the place. I'm on the side of Maxwell Smart, but since we're all into I just did a 1960s reference for people that didn't watch Get Smart way back in the day. Now I'm on Team Chaos.
It's like it was the Lion King makes a 60s movie reference as if kids are gonna get it when Puma's like, they call me Mr. Pig. That's an old reference that no kid in their right mind is going to watch a Disney movie and get it.
Yeah.
But the adults are going to be like, I get that.
Yeah, exactly. There were a couple of those in Aladdin.
Yep.
Said mainly by Robin Williams, who said an
all
awful lot of...
All his impressions were all stuff for the adults.
It was pretty wild.
Because he was good at that.
No doubt. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. We'll take a time out. By the way, coming up at the top of the hour, DJ and the boys will be lamenting their broken brackets, I would imagine. Is it National Broken Bracket Day?
I don't know. I know DJ is kind of upset because he loves corn dogs, right?
Yeah.
Like corn dogs are one of his favorite foods.
Oh, yeah.
But Saturday was National Corn Dog Day, so Power Hour missed it. They might just carry it over. They might just make today National.
Is that the ultimate fair food?
For
corn dog?
No. I don't like corn dogs that much. I know DJ's going to be mad
at me. I like corn dogs.
What I do is I eat the bread and then because I'm weird. I don't like the taste of cornbread plus hot dog, but I love cornbread. I'm weird. I know. I'm very picky. Everyone makes fun of me for it, but for me, the fair food, my favorite is the Monar cinnamon rolls, the big ones. I mean, those are just.
Richardson fries.
Those and the fries.
Yeah.
No vinegar on the fries, please.
Yeah. Richardson fries, Molnar cinnamon rolls, and you got to have the sausage sandwiches.
My dad loves DeRusso's sausage sandwiches. We always stop there.
Yeah.
So, I would say, cinnamon rolls, fries.
The elephant ears.
The Ruatan chicken is really good if you've ever been to the Greenford Ruatan building.
Okay.
Their chicken fingers I'm a chicken fingers guy. They're big, they're thick. They're good.
Hopefully we have a fair this year.
Right.
Yeah. It sucked that we didn't have a fair last year. Hopefully we get one this year.
I think
nice.
think we're on the right trend.
Hope so.
What was it? By May, everyone's supposed to be at least access to vaccinations.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of which, I got to finally sign up because they've gotten around to the old but not geezer section of the country.
Wright State leads 38-26 over Arkansas.
Nice. So the Horizon League, the men's representative didn't fare too well. The women's representative doing much, much better
Cleveland
right now.
State, I mean, that score ended up being really lopsided, but it was like 37-32 in the second half, and then it really got away from them. But they competed pretty well for a good amount of time against Houston.
Yeah, they just ran into a buzzsaw toward the end of the game.
That Houston defense locked down, and that's what caught up to them.
We'll see what Houston does today. They will be playing. They already played Rutgers yesterday and should have lost in that game.
But
unfortunately, unfortunately for the Big Ten, they didn't. As the Big Ten is now down to 2 teams left in this tournament.
An upset, and it's going down the stretch. Some teams get kind of tight.
Yeah.
We saw that in high school. We're seeing that in this tournament. Afrocentric, who was one of the favorites in girls basketball in the regional semifinals, team had them dead to rights. And the girl dribbled off her foot out of bounds and gave Afrocentric the ball back. Afrocentric forced overtime, won in overtime. So, when you're really close to an upset, things get kind of tight a little bit.
Yep.
That happened to Rutgers.
Rutgers had a 10-point lead with under 3 minutes to go in the game.
You fall into that trap of playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
Yeah, they got bamboozled. We'll take a final timeout and be back to close up shop.
Hoodwinked,
bamboozled.
Blittendorfed. Schmaggle-wackled. I'm just making up names now.
What was the last one?
Schmaggle-waggle?
Schmaggle-waggled?
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
No, it's not a thing. I was just kind of spitting out random sounds.
I'm actually wanting to use that now. Y'all have been schmaggle-waggled. What the hell is that? I don't know. It's an Anthony phrase.
It's Irish, lad. Schmaggle-waggle.
You schmaggle-waggle, you. We're back in a bit. Stick around. More to come.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden, at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit WRSWealthAdvisors.com. Good luck, athletes.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Welcome back as we close up shop on this Monday edition of Running Points. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig. Some bad news to pass along. Elgin Baylor, who is a Hall of Famer in the National Basketball Association, Los Angeles Lakers legend, passing away today at the age of 86. In an era where he played with Will Chamberlain and Bill Russell in a league that was dominated by the bigs, Elgin Baylor was a guy that would routinely get 25, 35, 40 points and not even blink an eye. He might be the single most underappreciated Hall of Famer in the history of the NBA. When you put together an all-time team, a lot of folks like to pass on Elgin Baylor as the 2 or the 3 because he really was overshadowed by Will Chamberlain and Bill Russell. And the reality is Elgin Baylor was one of those guys that just his skill set was unbelievable. He once scored 61 points in an NBA final, which, someone were to do that today, everyone would be talking about him for the next 50 years.
It makes you wonder if in 40 years, there will be players that we're watching right now in the NBA that are really good players, but they'll be overshadowed by players like LeBron James and Kevin Durant, who will be talked about for years and years and years and years. Will they overshadow some of these players that are talked about today, but might not be talked about in 30, 40 years like Elgin Baylor right now?
Yeah, I'll be curious with that. But Elgin Baylor is one of the greatest to ever play this game, past, present, and future. He flat out could play the game of basketball. Passed away natural causes this morning at the age of 86. It was just announced. All right, we're out of here. The DJ and the boys coming up next with Power Hour. They will take you through the rest of the 3 o'clock hour. I'm going to get my uniform on and do some umpiring today.
Yeah, you had a JV scrimmage, right?
Got a JV scrimmage.
Boardman and Streetsboro?
It's in Boardman.
Yeah, Boardman and
it'll be in Boardman. They're taking on the Streetsboro JV scrimmage, which should be an awful lot of fun. So boo silently, if you will.
Yes.
We're out of here. Talk to you tomorrow. It's Running Point on